about to open tonight's Sumner County School Board regularly scheduled meeting for August 18, 2026. Before we do, I'm going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by a pledge to the flag. Please feel free to join me if you'd like. Thank you. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I call to order tonight's regularly scheduled meeting of the Sumner County School Board for August 18, 2026. First item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
All right, next item on the agenda is adoption of regular agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Any comments? Mr. King?
Yeah, I'd like to remove something from the consent agenda. It would be the under bids and purchases item number, well, it's not coming up. I believe it's item number 9. The stream credits and the wetland credits. But
Okay.
for some reason, this is asking me to log in.
Yeah, I've
so-
got the same thing right now. So,
Okay.
It's on the main. It's on the main.
Okay.
It's already on the main agenda, Mr. Chairman.
There
We
we go.
moved it.
Okay, and that's also a budget amendment, which is number 141, Cap Pro VA number 223.
all right.
So that,
So I think
That-
I think we've already moved it. I think
It's on the main agenda.
it's on the main agenda. So they said they moved it to the main agenda.
oh, it is, okay, it's item number 2.
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're
Oh, I also want to add an agenda item.
Okay.
Want to add a discussion or action to add lacrosse as a sport in Sumner County high schools.
All right, I've got a motion to add lacrosse, and I do want to point out that last month, we did have a motion, the same motion on the agenda to approve adding lacrosse, and it failed. So at this point, are you making a motion to reconsider?
I was not at that meeting. I'm making a motion to add it.
Well, I understand, but as a motion to reconsider, I've got to have someone from the prevailing side add that to the agenda.
Well, this is a new meeting, and this is going to be a new
Again,
agenda item. so-
it's prevailing side. It's a motion to reconsider an item that was voted on during the last meeting. So,
But I believe that's
Mr.
during-
Johnson,
I believe
Mr.
that's during the
Johnson,
same meeting.
Mr. Johnson, who was on the prevailing side?
That would be Ms. Barnes, Ms. Stewart, Ms. Brennig, and Ms. Tucker.
Would any of you want to support the motion to reconsider? I have no motion to reconsider at this time, so
Okay, so
I understand what
I
you're
believe
saying. but
Robert's
You can ask our board attorney, but
Yeah.
you're asking that we add something back to the agenda that was voted on last meeting, it didn't pass. So that would be a motion to reconsider that would require the prevailing side. So I'm going to ask the board attorney for guidance,
okay.
and then we'll move forward.
You can vote to whether or not to add it to the agenda. And then if it is added to the agenda, it would take a motion to reconsider from the prevailing side.
Gotcha. So we can vote to add it to the
Two steps.
agenda, and if it's added, then we would take a motion to reconsider at that time. Okay,
Correct.
thank you. All right, so we have a motion to add it to the agenda. If that passes, then we would consider, we would need to have a motion to reconsider. So, any other comments?
Who was the second on that motion?
I'm sorry, what was
Who
that?
was the second on Mr.
Who was the second?
I mean, I'll second.
Mr. Lacy, Mr. Lacy's
Thank
second.
you.
Shouldn't they be separate? If one fails, will both fail?
I'm
I
sorry.
guess he's already got his one.
Yeah,
So this would be to add it.
this would be to add it. And if the
Okay.
board votes to add it, then we need to have a motion to reconsider.
Okay, so I just want to explain one of the reasons I want to add it is because four board members were not at the last meeting, and it was barely a quorum. So there was a quorum, it was 7 members, 6 would be a quorum. I think that we ought to give the board members that were not here an opportunity to weigh in and go on the record on this.
And I totally understand that. We also had it on a study session. We deferred at the previous meeting, so board members knew it was going to be on the agenda.
Well,
I
and
know, I
also-
understand that we have issue with people not being here, but I understand what you're saying, so let's go ahead and vote on whether
Well,
to add it to the agenda.
I would like to add some more commentary to
All
why I
right.
want it added.
Okay.
And also, new information has basically come forward from the Hendersonville Lacrosse Board regarding timelines, rosters, and a lot of new information, a lot of data that I think ought to be reconsidered in looking at this issue.
Okay.
So-
I appreciate that. So
Okay.
we'll have the board vote on whether to add this to the agenda,
Okay.
and then we'll move forward from there. So, Mr. Johnson, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Hayes?
No.
Ms. Tucker? Mr. Lancaster?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Hollis?
Yes.
Ms. Stewart?
No.
Ms. Barnes?
No.
Mr. Lacy?
Yes.
Chairman Daniels?
No.
Motion fails 5-5.
Thank you. Any other items of discussion? All right, then motion to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is adoption of the consent agenda. Motion to approve. Motion to approve, Mr. Lancaster, second. Mr. Evans, comments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Consideration of minutes, regular meeting July 21st, 2026. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes, second. Ms. Stewart, thank you. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't
Okay.
here.
Understand.
So,
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is recognition and hearing of delegations. We're going to start with the General Jethro Sumner chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and then we'll move on to board comments. Ms. Hayes? Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight, the DAR, the General Jethro Sumner chapter of the DAR, is going to make a presentation to the Sumner County School Board. I am a member now, and I had the privilege of taking part in presenting our elementary schools and middle schools with a framed copy of the Declaration of Independence and the America 250 flag. And it was a delight to be in the schools with these students and just hear them discuss. We got some brilliant, bright students in our schools asking questions, and I would ask questions and they knew the answers. So I just appreciate the work that the DAR does. And Deborah Maggard is our regent for this chapter, and she is going to share about our work. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for letting us do this evening. And I just want to read a little thing to you all. First of all, as Tammy said, we have given every elementary school and middle school in our county one of these Declarations of Independence, as well as an America 250 flag for them to fly. And we also have given our high schools an America 250 flag. And this fall, we will be planting Liberty trees at all of our high schools. So we are delighted to do that. And I just want to say one little thing about this. As we continue to celebrate the 250th anniversary of American independence, we reflect on the courage, sacrifice, and vision of those who shaped our nation. Inspired by their legacy, the Daughters of the American Revolution are honored to present this official America 250 flag and framed copy of the Declaration of Independence. It is our sincere hope that these will be proudly displayed here at the school system to remind everyone of the sacrifices made by the brave men and women who came before us, and to celebrate not only 250 years of liberty, but the endless possibilities that avail us to the next 250 years. As you see this flag and read these words, we hope that you will think about what freedom means to you and how you can help carry it forward, the ideals of liberty, equality, and opportunity. Because America's story is still being written, and each administrator, teacher, and student is part of the next chapter. So thank you all for letting us do this, and we appreciate you.
the schools and talking with the students, they really are bright. Our kids are brilliant kids, and they ask some really good questions. And when I look into the eyes of our students, I see hope, hope for the next generation. These kids are going to be our future leaders. So what we can do to invest in our students by teaching them, starting in the home, in our schools, but the preservation of our freedoms in this country. We all sense and can see there is a movement to destroy some of our basic freedoms and our way of life in this country. So educate, educate, educate our students on our founding principles, what this country is about, so that we can keep it that way. And we don't let an ideology that's moving into our schools, into our students' minds, that will change our way of life. So that's all of our job. That's all of our jobs in this community. So I appreciate the DAR. It's my great, 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 great grandfather McWhirter. So the DAR, you've got to do your homework. You go back and you have certificates and birth certificates and lineages to prove that you come from a Revolutionary War veteran. My grandfather laid down his life for this country. Great, 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 great grandfather McWhirter for this country. So, thank you. I appreciate this chapter. Scott?
I don't want to do this.
You hold it.
Yeah, you and I hold the flag.
Got it.
There we go. And by the way, I do want y'all to know that at our July 8th, I'm glad you said that, at our July 8th event that we did with the county, Lit Freedom Ring, we had hundreds of students participate in that, and we had a lot of teachers and administrators help us put that on. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, there's some video of it on Facebook, and you all should see it, because our kids during the summer practiced and participated. They sang, they were part of the program, and they did a great job. So thank you, school system, for putting that together with us.
Thank you, Deborah. You're welcome.
All right, we have a number of individuals desiring to appear before the board this evening. So when I call your name, if you will share your name with the board along with your address and what policy you will be speaking on. I ask that everybody be polite, be kind, and share with us what you believe you would like for us to hear. And I would ask that you be respectful towards everybody that's in the audience and those on the board. So if you have comments, please direct all those towards me and not any other individual on this board. So with that, I'm going to start with Mr. Chris Shoemaker. And I'm sorry, each individual has 5 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Chris Shoemaker, I live at 1018 Silver Maple Lane in Portland. First and foremost, I want to say to Ms. Hayes, we thank you for your years of service and the enjoyment of your retirement, so you enjoy your time off.
Thank you, sir.
Beyond that, I want to hit the IT department for a moment on the new Sumner County School app. Now that the kinks are worked out, it's working great. But more so, I know I've spoke to several of you about making it easier to find the agendas for these meetings. Where it's at on that app is absolutely phenomenal. It takes 2 clicks and the agenda's there, so thank you for that. Beyond that, I want to speak to the new policy that's coming in line with the new state law that you guys got on there to revise. I've spoke with a couple of you, but I want to just hit it to everybody. So my daughter is now a 4th grader at Watt Hardison. When she was in 2nd grade, she had another student in the classroom that we had a lot of issues with. This policy hits home to me because my daughter would come home and start talking about, well, had to get out of the classroom today. We had to get out of the classroom today. But we had no idea what was going on. So trying to reach out, trying to find out, well, with all the privacy laws, we all know how that goes. You don't get a whole lot other than the answer I got was, well, trust your daughter. Cool. That tells me that what I'm getting probably is at least some level of what's going on. So every year we try to host a movie night in the fall at home for my daughter's class. That way the parents all have a chance to meet each other and the kids all get to have a little fun. I knew we had hit a point when my daughter asked if we could invite the SRO in case this particular student came to the house. At that point, it made it very clear that my daughter no longer felt safe at school. That was a problem. Now, it also speaks volumes to, I know he's in here somewhere, or he was, Lieutenant Vine's group, the SROs, of the relationship that they're building, that's who a second grader knows is there to keep them safe. So, to his group, kudos to that. But I understand each student, we all hear it, every student's entitled to an education, and I agree 110%. However, this may be the unpopular opinion, but at what point does the right of one student having an education overcome the right of all the others to feel safe and have that same education? And what education are they getting if all the kids are being evacuated out of the classroom 3 and 4 times a week? So, I love the policy, I love what it does. I would like to see one thing added. If a classroom has to be evacuated more than 1 time a year due to the way the policy reads, due to another student being that disruptive and it's unsafe for the kids to be in there, if it happens more than once in that school year, that kid probably needs to either be moved to a school or a classroom that can accommodate that student's needs. That way the other 19 to 23 kids or whatever it is in that classroom can have that same education without sitting there wondering when Billy Bob's next outbreak is going to be. Well, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker, Mr. Andy Thorpe. All right. Oh.
Hello. Well, I'm Andy Thorpe. I came here to talk about lacrosse. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do with that, but I still want to take my chance to speak on the topic. I'm here tonight as a parent that cares about student athletes in Sumner County, period. Students should come first, right? That's why I'm here. The students in Sumner County want to participate in lacrosse. They have organized, practiced, and built a club, demonstrated participation, and gathered community support. The question is whether those students will be given the same consideration afforded to other extracurricular opportunities. I am not here, and my counterparts are not here to mandate that all schools take on lacrosse. We want schools to be able to choose for themselves. We have a focused solution to bring lacrosse to HHS. We have the students, the fields, the coaches, the funding, all the items that have already been provided to the school board as solutions via email, including 17 kids ready to play. Ready to play. All the solutions have been provided. We are simply looking for your support to remove roadblocks towards achieving this. That's simply all we're looking for. HHS administration has told us they do not have the authority to bring lacrosse to their school, which is troubling. A board member has also heard the same message, and that board member could or could not share that tonight. I spoke with Greg Hollis, and he had shared a story, actually a really good story about Merrill Hyde's flag football program, bringing that to Merrill Hyde. And that arrangement, he worked with the principal and the AD to bring that, to achieve that support. When we spoke, he didn't understand what was happening with lacrosse that was different, and nor do I, nor do my counterparts. We don't understand what's different. You should be able to do exactly what happened at Merrill Hyde with flag football. But it's not, it's different, and we don't understand why. We are looking for answers to those questions. So our request is for you as a board is to put in writing your support for lacrosse in Sumner County schools and to allow for local school leaders to make this decision and have the authority to do so on their own. We want to remove roadblocks for our student athletes. Last time we got together, last month, there was some discussion about the board's authority. So we went and researched this and just looked into the Sumner County Board Policy 4.3, extracurricular activities. The board, what it reads is the board shall initially approve extracurricular activities at the district level to ensure proper support and supervision. So if the district level initially approves extracurricular activities, it's the board's responsibility. Then shouldn't the board have the opportunity to actually consider this and decide this request? You've said the board was told at interest meetings that have been held at each school, while students you surveyed indicated they were not involved in such meetings at several major schools. There appears to be a significant discrepancy between the information presented to the board and what the students have experienced. you have documented showing that lacrosse has previously been discussed at the district leadership, including an October 10th, 2023 meeting, where you indicated discussions around Hendersonville High School lacrosse, also referenced in a July 15th, 2024 joint education budget meeting where lacrosse was discussed in connection with athletic facilities. So this is a topic that was discussed by members here openly. If lacrosse has previously been discussed as something that the district anticipated having, what changed? And and where was that decision formally made? I don't think we understand. It was a topic, was funded, and now it's not a topic anymore. We don't understand what changed. So here we go. Here's the question. If the board is the governing and policy-making body of the Sumner County Policy 4.3 specifically states that the board shall initially approve extracurricular activities at the district level, wouldn't the board have the role in the initial approval of a new district extracurricular activity? Right? That's why we're here. This board should be able to support our goal of getting lacrosse in schools and removing roadblocks. I'd also love to share with you that our feeder program, the middle school program, we went from 0 kids last year. We brought in 17 girls. This year, before we even put a flyer out, we've got 7 girls that want to sign up again. We're growing exponentially. We're not even advertising. We haven't started practice yet. So the growth is there. The growth is there. And it's not, and that's what we feel. If we can just start in one program, we need to remove the roadblocks. It'll blow up. My kid won't even go to HHS and play lacrosse. My 3 kids won't even go there. But I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that if we start there, it will grow because it's popular. I mean, I'd love to play that sport when I was a kid, but it wasn't offered. But this is the chance we have. We'll put the kids first. So here we go. Put the kids first, right? That's what we're here for, right? Everything should come to kids first. And if we are putting them first, what is more important than?
We've hit 5 minutes, so I'll need a motion to allow you to finish speaking.
Okay.
So,
I'll make a
motion, Mr. King, second. All right. So if you can
Just one
start
paragraph.
right, you're fine. I just,
Yeah, no. So I was going to ask for when you vote, and I thank you for the time. I appreciate it. I said when you vote, I do want you to think about the kids first. You know, the kids are what we're here for, right? So I'm going to say it again. Our request is for you as a board to put in writing your support for lacrosse in Sumner County schools and to allow local school leaders to make the decision and have the authority to do their own. Remove roadblocks. Thank you for the time. I do appreciate it.
thank you. Next I have, and if I mispronounce names, I apologize, but I believe, is it Mr. Bill Heron?
Good evening. It's been a while since I made a speech, so I'm trying to make this casual conversations. I want to thank each and every one of you for the great job you did with my
Real quick, can you just say your name, address for me real quick?
Oh, sure.
Yep, sorry.
Sorry.
Yep.
No
You're
problem.
good.
Bill Heron, 669 Cummings Lane, Cottontown, Tennessee.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you, each of you, for what you did for my 5 grandchildren and currently are doing. They all 5 attended the Liberty Creek schools, and they currently, 3 are still attending. And my grandson was the first to graduate from Liberty Creek High School. And during my last 2 years, I was able to go around to Cottontown, which I believe is about 60% of the kids that live there is feeder for the Liberty Creek schools. I got to learn from the families there and their history, and so I decided to put together a book called Cottontown, Tennessee. One of the commissioners gave it the title of The Jewel of Sumner County. But during the culmination of the history of Cottontown, all the schools from the 1800s in that area, up into the Liberty Creek School, I was able to get a couple stories from retired Mayor Anthony Holt. And in the book, I put Liberty High School picture here because it tells a William Brown story. And in it, I was able to get from also Tammy and Teddy Adams, who live in Cottontown, who were good friends of William Brown for 29 years, and they just couldn't tell enough great things about him. Now, what a wonderful gift this man gave. I mean, each of you know that. I mean, everyone in Sumner County knows what he gave. But it's just to be in awe as myself, someone gave that kind of, gift. And the remembrance of what he wanted was simply to have that home cared for. And in the book, there are many historical homes, and we can only do so much with so many. But he even set aside some funds for it. This is what I understand from the commissioners and from the county personnel I talked to, including Anthony Holt, the retired mayor. Having said that, I just want to thank you for your care and consideration of this home in preserving the history. And I really want to put in the second edition I'm doing on Cottontown, that book will be, that particular home will be saved in this next book. And we appreciate you guys, really do. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mike McClard?
Gotta get there, give me a second. I thought I was further down on the list than that, I wasn't prepared to get up. Mike McClard, 102 T. Elba Trail, Hendersonville. My wife and I live directly next door to the school property now, Mr. Brown's property then. We've been there 43 years. We first moved in, Mr. Brown's cows meandered up and down the fence row that separates us in the shade of the trees. You didn't have to listen for them. When the wind shifted, you knew they were there. But Mr. Brown, I mean, you know, he as the gentleman said, he gave a tremendous gift to Sumner County. And it's been going on close to 10 years now since he passed. And basically nothing's been done. The windows are boarded up to the house now because nothing was done and vandals broke them out. You can barely see it. Most people, when I talk to people about it, some of them don't even know it's there because when you're driving down Wolfpack, you can't see it. It's completely engulfed in trees. The ice storms of this winter dropped probably 20 or 30 big limbs down in the yard. It's been mowed in the past 9.5 years. The yard has been mowed 4 times, once by me, because it growed up so bad. I was even embarrassed to even walk down there and look at it. Can't do that now because of the riparian buffers and everything they've got up around it. I can't get there with my mower anymore. But my wife and I, and several other neighborhoods and several people here have been going to the county commission meetings for the last 2.5 years when we found out about it, and have pleaded, cried, yelled, screamed, not really screamed, but it felt like screaming, let's put it that way. All those years trying to get something done. It has finally got to the point the commission passed last night unanimously to approve a quitclaim and to allow the Friends of the Latimer House, the Latimer Brown House, to take over the restoration of this. And I'm a part of that. And we're fully capable and willing and have got all the paperwork. We're a 503C, ready to do anything we can do. So I would ask that you guys pass that tonight, and let's get this taken care of to honor Mr. Brown's great gift and the Latimer family, whose family were also in the Revolutionary War. That's where he came from. He came from Connecticut down here after the war. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Linda King?
Linda King, 1008 Village Green Crossing, Gallatin, Tennessee. I am also here to ask that y'all would approve the quitclaim deed for the Latimer House. I have been studying Sumner County history now for about 2 years while I work at the Douglas Clark House, and I'm also a mother to a 10-year-old daughter who absolutely loves our county and its history. She volunteers at every event that I can get her to. She absolutely loves it, and if she attended the Liberty Creek School, she would be more than happy to show all of her friends everything. It's an amazing opportunity to be able to take kids right there in their own school area and show them the history and the legacy that these people have left behind, and I just want to encourage you to honor them and to pass that quitclaim deed tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Gina Mansfield.
Gina Mansfield, 113 Luna Lane, Hendersonville. And I too am respectfully requesting you vote to support the County Commission's quitclaim deed for the Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park tonight. There are those commissioners who have worked earnestly along with the county mayor to come up with an option to resolve the issue of the deteriorating Latimer House. The quitclaim deed will not only resolve the issue of the house, but it will also get the house restored the quickest, most efficient, and immediate way. The quitclaim deed will give the house and the money to the nonprofit Friends of the Latimer House, the people who support the restoration of the house and have been concerned about its safety for 10 long years. For 10 years, the county chose not to maintain the house, so perhaps it is time to give the Friends of the Latimer House the necessary tools to do so. The quitclaim deed includes a preservation covenant and a reversion clause, meaning if the Friends of the Latimer House don't maintain the house properly, it reverts back to the county. A win-win for the county. For 10 very long years, the supporters of the Latimer House have not appreciated the county's problematic culture created by a lack of transparency and accountability, willful ignorance, and political game playing. This type of culture has been deeply insulting, and we are truly, truly concerned with the lack of appreciation for the Latimer House, a living testament of Sumner County's history. Also, we have become painfully aware there was never any intention of saving the Latimer House. Any success of this house's maintenance by the county has been jeopardized as evidenced by at least 4 things. Number 1, negligence and delinquency of the house and property for 10 years. Number 2, not replacing the driveway when Wolfpack Way was built. Number 3, one commissioner's comment who was in favor of the $1.2 million part which excluded the house, who said, and I quote, "The house was in better condition than we initially thought, so it hasn't deteriorated enough to remove it. And if it had been put on the historic registry, we would have had more reason to restore it." Number 4, if you vote against the County Commission's quitclaim deed, you will be refusing to honor not only Mr. Brown's wishes after 10 long years, but also for the people who care about the house and who want to see it safely restored. The entire 10-year escapade has been deeply offensive to people who care about Sumner County's history. Therefore, we are requesting a vote to quitclaim deed the house to the nonprofit Friends of the Latimer House so it can be restored by those who appreciate its existence as a Revolutionary era Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park. Thank you.
Derek Glover.
Derek T. Latimer Glover, 3481 Apache Road. If it pleases the chair, may I read a proxy statement for Jim Latimer of 212 Hunters Lane? Okay. Gentlemen, please forgive my absence. I had a scheduling conflict which has called me out of state for this vote. Tonight, you'll be the final arbiter of a matter that has played out for 10 years. The county made an agreement with Mr. Brown to preserve and maintain the Charles Latimer home as a center of a park named for William and Martha Brown. The home has ties to both colonial and state history, being located on the original 640-acre property owned by Colonel Jonathan Latimer. This board is tasked with passing the accumulated knowledge and culture of our history to its students, of molding our future citizens. And through your actions and planning, they begin to learn of our history, principles, and values. I urge you to take advantage of this opportunity to unlock a tremendous teaching tool. And with its central location, the home can be a portal to history for all our surrounding schools. When you are able to walk around, touch, and enter such a structure, it brings the experience to life, and you get a true feel for our history and the path tread before us. Please vote to preserve this unique opportunity, honor our covenant with Mr. Brown, who was so generous to our county and schools. Vote tonight for the quitclaim deed. Thank you. Now for my statement. I'm Derek T. Latimer Glover, I am the 6th great grandson of Colonel Jonathan Latimer, who was an American war patriot, as y'all have learned. And as my cousin Jim Latimer said, this has dragged on for about 10 years. We know how generous Mr. William Brown was. And if we could just honor the will and codicil that he wrote, that really would be wonderful. Heritage promotion is important, and heritage preservation is important, and it's very so important in education to do that. That's heritage that you're actually passing down to your students, to the next generation. I have heritage of Colonel Jonathan Latimer and Charles Latimer, who was my uncle. It's in my blood, and I'm never going to walk away from that, nor would I ever want to. But please don't let this property fall down, and then you don't have anything to teach the students with. In our 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So thank you all for serving and doing what you do. I know it's not easy being an elected official. There's a lot you do behind the scenes. Thank you so much for that. God bless America, and God bless our troops.
Laura Baggard.
Laura Bagert, 424 A.B. Wade Road, Portland. I will not take the full 5 minutes. I just wanted to primarily speak on the quitclaim deed you're considering tonight to the Friends of the Latimer House. Most of you weren't here when Mr. Brown died or made the codicil to his will that left an unprecedented gift to the Sumner County schools, about $8 million. And that money has been used to provide technology for children as has been left in the will. The other part of the will, or the codicil, was this house. And like I said, most of you weren't here, so you weren't involved in the mess here, but tonight you have a chance to fix it, and I'm sure you will. And while I'm here, anyway, I'm just saying in favor of that. Last night we had a decision at the county commission whether it was going to be a lease or quitclaim deed. So the only thing in front of you tonight is a quitclaim deed, and I ask that you vote in favor of that. While I'm here, I just wanted to comment quickly on the school board policy you're considering tonight, interference/disruption of school activities. And Ms. Hayes stated something beautifully earlier today about the freedoms we have here. This doesn't have anything to do with you. I know you're working on this policy because of what the state legislature has passed down. But we're operating in an upside down world that all the kids are moving out of a classroom for someone who, it's like putting all of us in jail for someone else who is breaking the law. So I would just encourage you to speak to our legislators and talk about another way to do this, unless I misunderstand what's going on here, which is possible. But it just seems to me that we're taking all these kids out who are doing the right thing because someone else is misbehaving. And I encourage you to speak to our legislators because you'll have a lot more weight to change the way we're handling this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Justin Richardson.
Justin Richardson, 1105 Upper Station Camp Creek Road in Cottontown. I emailed y'all today, so my name may sound familiar, but as promised, I'm here. I'm here to encourage you strongly to support and vote in favor of the quitclaim deed as the county commission did last night unanimously. I believe this is by far the best path forward for this very special home and property that was left very generously to the people of Sumner County. Mr. Brown left a special gift which has unfortunately sat derelict for the last 10 years, but I am so happy to know that we are finally heading in the right direction to preserve this historic treasure. Mr. Langford spoke at the commission last night in favor of following the path the commission took, which proved unanimously to be the quitclaim for the property to the nonprofit that was established specifically for the preservation of the home and park. And I ask you tonight to vote to approve that quitclaim.
Thank you. That completes public comments. Next item on the agenda is, do we have comment from the attorney, executive session this evening?
None.
All right, the next item on the agenda is reports from the superintendent. Dr. Langford?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. We've got a full academics presentation a little bit, so I don't want to steal any thunder or share any. I will say that U.S. News and World Report rankings dropped today, and Merrill Hyde was, for high schools, Merrill Hyde was ranked #1 in Sumner County, #2 in Tennessee. Hendersonville High School, #2 in Sumner County, 42nd in Tennessee. White House, 3rd in Sumner County, 51st in Tennessee. Station Camp, 4th and 55th. Beach, 5th and 66th. So we had 6 schools in the top 70. So real good accomplishment for our high schools. There is an educational journal called the 74 Million. It's a national publication that talks about public schools, charter schools around the country. Merrill Hyde was featured. We just found this out about 1 o'clock today, so I'll forward the article to you later, but they were identified as a bright spot for American education. So I got to contact Mr. Frank earlier today. Usually when you get a phone call from me the first 2 weeks of school, it means that air conditioning's down, something's broken, bus going to be late, something like that. But it was nice to be able to share good news. So very thankful for the work that our schools are doing. I've gotten a lot of questions about when we will update on the unauthorized access to our network. We've come a long way. We met with the team late last week, and they laid everything out. But you know, if you think about the first part is getting everything back operational so we could start school. We did that very quickly, and that was the combined effort of our IT department, the consulting group that we worked with, and an incredible amount of work by the people over there from the instruction department and our other departments that are here, academics department, and then our principals and teachers. They really worked hard to get things going. So we are still hitting some things, because remember, not only did we have the unauthorized access to our network, we also had Skyward across the state imploding during the server change. They shared a letter with me to point out that it was not Skyward, it was the server. There's a lot of yay-yaying going on, but whoever's fault it was, the reality is that it affected a lot of our things, like including some of the transportation stuff that loads out of Skyward. We found most of the major things, but we're still finding some little things that didn't load up correctly through the server breaks. That had nothing to do with the unauthorized access to the network. That was a Skyward problem. So I think we're mostly operational. I believe we're operational now on Sumner Chat. That functionality on all those different auxiliary programs will get better each day. We are monitoring traffic. I know there's traffic in the beach area. Some of that's the way we do pick up and drop off. Some of it is traffic. Some of it is just time back at the start of school. But I understand when you get stuck in it, it's tough. And so we're going to continue to monitor that. I've had some great conversations with Officer Vines and the Sheriff's Office, and we'll continue to monitor and have those conversations. Where we are, just to jump back for a second, on the unauthorized access to the network, we have shipped all the data off to a vendor to just check it and see what was accessed, to see what kind of reporting we need to do. So we're in the forensic stage now. I don't really want to say a whole lot more public facing that right now until I know. I was asked by a reporter today at White House Chamber of Commerce if I wanted to say anything. I was like, I've got a lot of things I would like to say, but I want to wait until I can speak transparently and conclusively with everything that we can share. And I understand it's frustrating for all of us. You will hear a lot. I'm going to share a thing about multi-factor authorization. The number one way that we protect our network moving on is multi-factor authorization. The number one biggest pain in the rear end is installing multi-factor authorization at scale. You will hear a lot from students, from teachers, from principals, all incredibly well justified. It is time consuming. We as Americans today, nowhere in the Declaration of Independence does it say that we have to be patient, and we are not. But the only way you get multi-factor authorization at scale is patience. But it's time consuming, it's frustrating for our principals, it's frustrating for our teachers, for our IT staff, for everybody, and they're all really tired. So you can encourage everybody to be patient. Transportation, we are working on routes. We have everybody right now with a CDL that we can put in a bus seat driving a bus. Most of our transportation department with Tracy are driving until about 6 o'clock at night, and then they're coming back and doing their supervisory work after that. They're working nearly round the clock to get things done. We have more drivers coming on board. For the safety of kids, we don't just give somebody with a CDL the authorization to drive a bus. They have to go through a lengthy onboarding process. And so We've got a bunch of new drivers that are onboarding that will be coming on in September, and you'll see some of those routes go down in time. We have some strange ones, like I know we have one at Portland High School that everybody else has picked up by 3:25, and this one lasts until 3:51, and it's like 8 kids. So we will work on getting those resolved, but that's going to take just a little bit of time because we got to get more capacity just in the number of drivers. I was at an event. I can't remember which event it was, but they were saying you really need more buses. I'm like, no, we got plenty of buses. We need more bus drivers. That's what we need. So they took about over 1,100 parent pieces of communication last week, returned all the phone calls and messages. That will get better each week, but if you could just encourage anybody who reaches out to you to let transportation know, let their school know, they'll work through it, but just a little bit of patience here as we start. HVAC update, I will tell you this, I was trying to think of a way to introduce some Robin Williams skits into this, but it's hot. It's really hot. School air conditioners will usually be about 20-25 degrees cooler than what it is outside. And when you open doors 8 million times, especially in older schools where there's not a ton of insulation, those schools are going to be warm by the end of that. It's a lot of bodies moving in and out of there. Our maintenance team has done a good job of fixing and repairing as quickly as they can. The temperatures dropping some have helped and will continue to help. We do have a situation that's on the consent agenda that we approved tonight. Lakeside Park, we lost the air conditioners in the cafeteria. We replaced the ones in the gym. This is an old building. We have, I think, one of the things that I will recommend as we move forward. Mr. Hyde had a great recommendation that I'm going to recommend next month that we pursue when the new commission gets seated, which is to put together a committee of commissioners and school board members to learn together, to talk about capital projects. We have a real need to hit a substantial amount of HVAC. Our maintenance teams for the last 40, 50 years have done a tremendous job maintaining, fixing, repairing. We've got some units that we just need to replace. That's what we're catching. The one at Beach last year was a fluke because of the ice storm. That unit wasn't all that old, but that was kind of a 1 in a million shot with a historic ice storm. The one at Lakeside Park, that's an old unit, but the bad news is it's going to take probably 5 to 7 weeks to get that in. We are able, because it's the cafeteria, if you've been in the cafeteria at Lakeside Park, it's a small cafeteria, they're going to be able to move kids into the gym, into classrooms. So you won't get the full cafeteria experience for a few weeks. Of course, about the time the unit comes in, it will have cooled off enough to be in the cafeteria. But principal there, Ms. Petty, will continue to monitor that. Let's see, I was trying to think anything else. Recess. We canceled all outdoor recess yesterday because it was insanely hot. We moved back to principal discretion, so we're giving principals the autonomy to say, we're going to do 40 minutes of recess in the morning, but we may only do 15 in the afternoon because it's hot. Or we may rearrange our schedule a bit. The principals are the best ones to monitor that. If you get a question from a parent, I would refer them to the principal to let them answer, because it's going to really be, up here we don't know that the 3rd grade at Bethpage Elementary goes to recess at 1:30. It'll be easier just to contact the school. If it's an ongoing thing, please let us know, and we'll definitely look into it. Mr. Johnson is our chief HVAC technician during this time of year. If you have a question, you can also, he probably has the best working knowledge of the ups and downs with the HVAC units across the county. But we've really had, I'm not going to say it. It's been a good year so far. We're really doing other than that unit. But there will be, I'm hoping that the heat, this latest run will be it. I figure like we'll get at least one more in September. But, hopefully we'll move forward from that. I want to give a huge shout out as we transition to the next part. Ms. Maggart mentioned this earlier during the presentation from the Daughters of the American Revolution. If you had the opportunity to go on July 8th, it was really a beautiful ceremony. I want to give a shout out. We had a big team from around the county, and I don't know all their names. And Jeff, I'm going to lean on you to make sure I don't miss anybody on our team. But A.J. Whitten, Jeff Yawn, Kim Norfleet, Penny Steele, and Adam Cripps were very instrumental in us pulling off our 250th anniversary with kids. We had a number, Tiffany Barton at Madison Creek Elementary, we had a number of other teachers helping us. One girl, I can't remember which school she was at, they had told them to memorize the Declaration of Independence. I asked this girl if she had it actually memorized, and she put her head down. She goes, "No, sir, I don't know 5 words." I'm like, "Keep your head up." Like, you know more of it than 99.9% of the people on the earth. But it was really, for those of you that got to be there, it was really a special day. I thought a woman that I go to church with told me the Sunday after how amazing it was to, Mayor Isbell did a tremendous job, the committee did a tremendous job. Mayor Isbell braved wearing a colonial outfit, and it was really hot. Somebody asked me if I was going to wear one, and I was like, I would have had to put together all the uniforms from all the colonies to get a uniform that would have fit me. So no, I would wear one, but I don't have one that fit. I could have done the hat. AJ and Jeff and them all got hats. But the kids did an outstanding job singing, reciting the Declaration of Independence. And for July 8th, coming right off dead period, we had well over 100 kids that came out and participated, and their parents and their families. It's really, really a remarkable day.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yeah, so can we touch base real quick? Skyward still down, or is Skyward back up?
It's up.
Okay. Can we put something out on the school Facebook or whatever? Because I've got some parents that say, hey, email's not working, and my kid's trying to log into Google Classroom to do an assignment, and their email isn't working. Some are still saying Skyward's not working. Of course, the Here Comes the Bus could be linked there, and then the summer chat. Just like a simple, like, hey, these things should be working. If they're not working, contact these people.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, if you get those calls directly from a parent, if you'll encourage them to reach out to their school, because a lot of times what happens is emails change, passwords change, things like that. It's usually just a quick reset.
Yeah. Well, most people like to go to HIP Hendersonville or HIP Gallatin, and let's try to get that settled.
The great
there.
mediator
But,
of Sumner County Society.
If we can push out that, because I don't even know, like, for sure that Skyward, now that y'all are telling me, that was kind of what I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that we found it's been pretty operational the last 9 or 10 days. I think what we're finding are, like, where's the bus, all that worked, but there were weird spots where it wasn't updating. So it wasn't something you would see where like an entire school was out or something like that. It was just weird things that came from the way they reconfigured the servers when they moved. You're talking about a massive amount of data. So I feel like we've gotten most of that resolved at this point, but it was a interesting process.
Yeah, I just think if we have somewhere, either on a post or on the thing saying, hey, if you got an issue with these apps that students need to use,
yeah, I think now that the Sumner Chat's operational, we can absolutely do that. It'll be a lot easier to get that message out.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I want to talk last about, and I want to go quickly because I know we got a great academics presentation, and I think we had a great commission meeting last night. First off, we got a number of commissioners here. I'd like to say, I know several of the speakers shared this tonight. Public service, as many of you have learned, is not easy. It's often thankless, and whether you've served 4 years or 40 years, I want to thank our commissioners that are here tonight, especially the ones that have finished their term of service. I think they probably all agree that term limits are not a bad thing, because after 8 years, I was ready to term limit myself, but thankful for their service, even when we didn't agree. I shared with Mr. Mansfield last night, I think we both laughed about it, that when I spoke at the commission, I wish I brought my gavel. We could have one last run.
One order.
One last run, but thank you, Mr. Mansfield. I can't even rule on it, but it'd be fun. And I think something that hit me at the 250th celebration is, how do we piece together, Mr. Lancaster shared just a second ago, that hip pages have become the arbiter of our social discourse. And we attack what's going on with something monumental about school or our community, a big decision that the commission's making or the legislature's making, with the same intensity that we attack that our order wasn't correct at Burger King. And we've got to get better. And if we can learn how to sit at the table again, 99% of the time we can fix our problems. And that's what you see. I mean, Ben Franklin's classic line, like, we're going to hang together, we're going to hang separately. We can hang together and we can work through just about anything. And so I'm excited for that to work. I think, I want to say, I shared something, probably an incomplete thought a couple years ago, about the Liberty Creek campus and the park and the Brown House and everything. I refer to it as a legacy project. not meaning for me personally, but for that community. And so I want to run through, like, I think there's been a lot of great history shared today, and I think I'm in a little bit of a position to share a little bit about what that legacy means for that area. In 1886, my great-grandfather, Forrest Langford, traded an ox cart for about 600 acres of land. They owned from Brinkley Branch, adjacent to the Liberty Creek campus, all the way over to surrounding Upper Station Camp Baptist Church. If you drive out on Upper Station and you drive down Upper Station, you drive down Van Treese Lane, next to Station Camp Baptist Church is a little one-room schoolhouse. That's the house that schoolhouse is where my dad lived when he came home before they moved over to Brinkley Branch. The schoolhouse it's a beautiful little schoolhouse, but it's decaying. But no telling what the history is on that piece of property or on that house. But that's where my family began in Sumner County, and it's really a testament of the power of education and to a group of farmers that survived primarily by working really hard. My grandfather worked hard and then went to the shoe factory in Gallatin and worked nights. My grandmother worked at the co-op. They raised everything they could to make ends meet. They worked hard and put their 4 kids through college. My grandfather was the 18th of 19 kids. Kirk Lane, Brinkley Branch, that was all our family. Deborah mentioned the Daughters of the American Revolution. My Aunt Sally put herself through college, which was unheard of for a woman in that era, on a Daughters of the American Revolution scholarship and became a teacher. Her sister, Laura Willis, who, if you're driving down Long Hollow Pike, the Long Hollow Nursery, the little white house by the creek, that's the bridal house now, that was my Aunt Laura's house. Interesting fact, it costs more to rent that now than it did for the entire farm when they bought it for a wedding. Ethel Anderson, if you've been down Anderson Lane, that was my Aunt Ethel. She could have married Jack Anderson, but she made a bad choice, married another Anderson. My cousin Matt's listening, I apologize, but Jack did better. But they were 3 teachers, and when my great-grandmother died, when my grandfather was 2, they alternated. 2 would teach school, and the other would stay home and keep the younger siblings. They took a covered wagon to Madison Creek and then Ocana. My grandfather graduated from the Ocana school. He said he dropped out in 6th grade. His diploma says 8th grade. I feel like he's probably just hung back those last 2 years. They played baseball. Supposedly they competed with the Nashville Volunteers one time. They worked every election in Cottontown that I can remember growing up. And I say all that to say, not to say that I have some kind of special connection. I was baptized at Douglas Chapel United Methodist Church right there. Went to Vacation Bible School every summer at Station Camp Baptist Church behind my parents' house. My great-grandfather was on it wasn't called the County Commission, I can't remember what it was called, but he was on that. And he said he knew that he didn't agree with Mr. Douglas, so he just waited to see how he voted, and he voted the opposite way. So we had factions in Sumner County even all the way back then. And then my grandfather was the same way. They passed on, not just to me, but to everybody that grew up out there, a deep sense of commitment to the community. And the thing that makes me most excited about what we've done with the Liberty Creek campus is that we've built and memorialized what the power of education was. Because if you look at the families, many of whom have spoken tonight, the one thing that tied everybody together was that commitment to education. Because any of the families, you could have taken the Latimers or the Langfords or any of the other ones out there, and our stories would have been the same. It was hard work, commitment to being good people, leaning on neighbors, lots of horses and stories we're not going to tell in the school board, but a commitment to education that was deep and profound. And we spent a long time fighting back and forth over what we're going to do with this property and how we're going to do the park and everything. For me, it's always been a both and, not an either or. I'm excited that we're getting to a place now where we can do something and move forward. So with that, my recommendation for tonight is to approve the quitclaim deed. I would ask that we include in our motion, so that we can avoid having to go back through the school board and the county commission, I would ask that we authorize Mr. Presnell to work with Mr. Sittler. We've got the signed copy from the county today. Mr. Presnell's been able to review it quickly, but we'd like to have time to be able to review that. I think the main thing is to get the deed correct so that we can make sure that we satisfy both TDEC and the Corps of Engineers. What I don't want to have happen is we do all this and then in 3 months or 6 months, the Corps or TDEC comes back and says, you didn't draw that line right, or something like that. We're not talking about slowing anything down, we're just talking about getting the language when we deed it correct. And I think that, I think we can trust Mr. Sittler and Mr. Presnell to figure out the exact locations of all the, where it is, so we capture everything that was in. I want to be clear, I'm 100% behind the resolution that the commission passed last night. I want it to reflect that, but I don't want to have to go back through the commission and school board again over a minor technicality over, 8 feet or 10 feet. Because I can tell you, working with TDEC and the Corps, they change rules frequently, especially the Corps. So I'd like for our county attorney and our legal representative to be able to work out any nuances there. But I also believe from Mr. Sittler's conversation last night with the commission and what Mr. Presnell confirmed today is that it looks good the way that it's sitting. It doesn't interfere with anything. We just want to give one more run through and make sure everything's good so that we don't mess something up on the back end. And that would be my recommendation. And let's see, I think we have, Mr. Johnson, are we gonna do one more recognition right now, or is that later? Okay. No. Thank you, Mr. Daniels.
All right. So, yes.
Yeah, so regarding, just real quick, the Army Corps of Engineers has approved a plan for the boundaries already. The house is excluded from any environmental buffer zone, mitigation boundary, and the line is actually pretty, it's drawn completely around the house with a lot of room. I sent that in an email to the board. The letter that was sent from the Army Corps of Engineers, they approved those boundaries. They just need to be surveyed. So is that going to hold? I mean, I don't think that would stop us from voting on this tonight.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I say we go ahead and vote. We just allow Mr. Sittler and Mr. Presnell to clean anything up that comes on getting that deed correct, instead of feeling like they've got to do all that stuff and bring it back for another vote. I'm just saying we go ahead and authorize them to do that.
Okay, cool.
All right, next item on the agenda, I believe, is the board presentation.
So before we start the presentation, I'd like to introduce you to two new members of our academic team. So if Miss Melanie Webster and Miss Kim Meadows would join me for just a few minutes. Miss Melanie Webster, you probably recognize her face, but she is now our new Director of Attendance and Behavior. So a little bit of her background. Miss Webster started in 1999 teaching at R.T. Fisher after leaving the role as a probation officer for the Community Corrections Department. She then went to R.T. Fisher to be a district behavior consultant, a special education and preschool coordinator. And then when Grace Oliver retired, she became the attendance supervisor. And all three of her boys graduated from Sumner County Schools. She has more than one fun fact that I get to share. So she played college tennis at the University of Tennessee Martin. Then she coached tennis at Station Camp High School. She also coached basketball, even though she didn't play basketball. Is that correct? No, I did. You did play basketball, sorry. She's addicted to flowers, gardening, and loves taking her dog on boat rides. And this is her quote: "I love figuring out what makes people act the way they do and tick, and I know that there is good in everyone. My favorite saying, according to my team, is wait, let's think about this." So welcome Miss Melanie Webster to the academic department. All right, Miss Kim Meadows has joined us as the high school supervisor. This is year 28 for her. Her career started at Beach High School in 1999 as a business teacher and an FBLA advisor. She transferred to Portland High School in 2000 to continue as a business teacher and had a bunch of other roles, such as yearbook advisor for 11 years.
In 2014, she was hired as the school counselor at Portland High School and then was hired as the assistant principal at Portland in 2017. As a school counselor and assistant principal, she was tasked with the master schedule. Ms. Meadows fell in love with how strategic and thoughtful scheduling can grow programs and make a path to opportunities for students that were once deemed impossible. She left Portland High School after 26 years and joined our team last year as the school counselor coordinator for Sumner County Schools, and this year in 2026 she has transferred to the high school supervisor. She is very proud to represent Sumner County Schools in whatever capacity she is in. Her quote, "Life is about service, and I'm thrilled to serve the students in Sumner County." Fun fact, my children all graduated from Portland High School, making them the 4th generation of our family to graduate from Portland High School, or Sumner County High School. I'm guessing that's what it used to be called. That's right. Yes, so long-time generation of Portland High School. So welcome Kimberly Meadows to the academic department. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Ann Miller.
All right. I don't think you want me answering your text. The good news is we will not have you guys do any work tonight, so you get the night off. We will just roll through a couple of celebrations and hopefully show you all of the hard work that we're doing and show you kind of how it's paying off. So I know we start every presentation with our mission and vision, and it's not because it's a fancy slide or because it's something that we feel like we have to do. It's something that we want to keep in front of our faces so that we know that that's what we're expected to live. So we develop better people for a better world by preparing all students for their first and future career. That's why we come to work every day. That's why everyone in this room comes to work every day, and we really want to live and embody that. Our core values, Dr. Langford's spoken to it. We just introduced 2 new team members. I can't tell you the amount of people that I interact with on the daily that live these core values in their everyday actions. It truly is something that we strive to live for, we strive to hold each other accountable for, and hopefully that pours into our kids and the people that we get a chance to work with. We don't have to work every day, we get a chance to work with those people every day. So grit, bought into the mission, growth mindset, and humility are core values that we strive for every single day. Our focus areas are something that hopefully you could pick up on. It's a lot of educational jargon, but we try to keep it simple. 3 things we're going to focus on all the time is high quality materials, collaborative planning, and coaching and feedback. So I know that this is not going to be a lesson in that, but those are the 3 things that research says really shows up for our students, and that's where all of our time, energy, and effort is going to go in those 3 areas. And Ms. Skinner has done a great job of keeping us focused there. So tonight, we do a lot of talking and a lot of pushing and a lot of moving forward. So tonight we want to take an opportunity to just pause and reflect a little bit. When you're working to improve, you're always just grinding for that next step. And what I've found, and I'm not very good at it, so I want to make sure I'm holding myself accountable, is that if you can just stop for a minute on your journey and turn around and take a minute, that progress becomes very evident.
Amen.
That's right. I'm, again, not very good at it, but it is an opportunity to stop and look at, like, this work really did produce results. And it's very, very exciting. So over the past year, our teachers, our administrators, our district staff, our parents, and especially our students have taken thousands of intentional steps, just grinding towards that goal of getting better and being our best selves. And that turned into numbers. But I don't want to get it confused. It's not about the numbers, it's about the people. And we say this every single time, but it's about the people that poured in to these steps and these intentional steps that we've taken and the training and the work that we've poured into that are actually the most important piece. So this is not all of our data, but it's definitely worth taking some time to just stop and check our progress so that you guys can know that we are intentional and that what we're doing is paying off. We're never perfect, and we're always going to keep grinding for that next step, but it is important to stop and just take a minute to pause and reflect on the work that we've done. Very excited to be a part of this team. Blessed to get to work with these wonderful people every day. So I'm going to turn it over to Anna Connor, and she's going to start with a district overview of our data for you guys tonight.
Before you go, let's do one quick celebration. Ann's daughter Edie was an AP Scholar tonight and just moved in at the University of Kentucky yesterday. So
Yep.
Congratulations, Ann.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good evening. It's good to see you all again. We're back at it, right? More numbers, more data. all of those things. I'm so glad to see you. Okay, I know Ann said we're not going to do any work tonight, but be prepared to answer a few questions because this is the second week of school, so I'm going to quiz you on what you learned last year. Okay, so we started out last year in November talking about accountability. We looked at federal accountability and we looked at state accountability. I think it was November, if I remember correctly. We talked through each one of those and we really focused on all the different metrics and what they mean across the board. So when you're looking at federal accountability, just to rehash it one more time, we're talking about achievement and growth and chronic absenteeism, ELPA, graduation rate, and college and career readiness. The reward school statuses, our target school, all of that comes from federal accountability. State accountability are our letter grades. So that's A, B, C. When you hear that, that comes from state accountability. And again, you can see it's achievement, growth of the lowest 25%, and then CCR, college and career readiness. Okay, the first easy question, what's in common with these two metrics, with these two accountabilities pieces? Achievement and growth. Okay, that one was easy, right? It's on the screen. You just, so that one's easy. Achievement and growth is what's the same. We also see CCR is the same. They've changed that metric in federal accountability, so there's no more Ready Grad, and they've aligned it to state accountability there for us. Now, before you get your hopes up too much, we don't have all the metrics yet, but we do have the one at the top, achievement. So what is achievement? Okay, we back up. What tests produce achievement? TCAP, right? TCAP gives us the achievement. You saw all those AP scholars up there tonight. I mean, fantastic work. Where does the AP score fall on these different metrics? Where do those scores go? CCR. Those fall under CCR. But achievement and growth are dealing specifically with TCAP and EOC scores. So we're talking about grades 3 through 8, and then our specific courses in high school. English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Biology, U.S. History. Okay, so achievement, remember, is the proficiency rate. So we're looking at the number of students that met and exceeded expectations. The number of students that met and exceeded expectations. Growth is that racetrack analogy, right? We want to keep pace. We want to keep where we are. Right now, the metric that we have to talk about is the biggest piece of the pie. It's achievement. So when you're looking at our federal accountability, it's the biggest piece of the pie. We can talk about that one right now. We're excited to share what we've got. We're excited about the numbers that came out from the state about Sumner County, so we're really excited about that. And it's also the biggest piece of the pie in state accountability. So while we only have one thing to share with you tonight, it's the biggest piece of the pie. Like, hooray, right? We'll take that. So let's talk about grades 3 through 8 and English 1 and English 2 as a whole. This data comes from the State Report Card website. If you haven't had a chance to check out that website, it has got some really cool stuff. This graphic itself is not from there, but the numbers came from there. They've got some really good graphs and charts. You could look at districts all over the state and see where they are and see where they're ranking right now. So this is 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. What trends are you seeing? Grow, like we are doing it, right? We're making gains year over year. Take a look at 2026. Bingo, right? Yet again, we hit the mark, and even higher than we were before, from 51.4% to 53.1%. Well above the state average, definitely something to celebrate. In fact, if you look at from 2024 all the way up to 2026, we're talking about almost a 5% difference there. That's a pretty big deal. If you equate that to students, like number of faces, we're talking about close to 900 students, more students, I should say, that are proficient now than were then. 900 kids, that's like 2 big high school graduating classes. That's a lot of students that we're meeting the mark and we're moving the needle. Do we want to be higher? Yes. Are we still pushing? Yes, but that is a huge number to celebrate. Take a look at math. Overall, grades 3 through 8, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Yet again, you can see we are well above the state. Incremental change year over year, and once again, we're hitting the mark. We're moving the needle for students. We're moving the needle across the board. Our grade band supervisors are here tonight to share specifics about some of the things that we've talked about over the last year, and we're really excited about what they're going to get to share. Just know there is more to come. Growth will be next. We'll get to talk about specifically who got reward school and who got letter grades and all of that. It's coming. It's just not here yet. So we are excited about preliminary data. We're excited about the numbers that are out there. I'll turn it over to, who's next?
All right. I'm Eric Bowman. I supervise elementary instruction and federal programs. Elementary instruction encompasses about 13,000 or 14,000 of our kids, just so you kind of have a reference point for how many kids we're talking about. So, 3rd grade through 5th grade ELA. We give that TCAP test in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade, so you can see where we've been in 24 and 25. 51% and 51.9%. This year in 2026, we're at 54.1. So we had about a 3%, 2.5% pop there in 3 through 5 ELA proficiency. You didn't cheer. Okay, I'm just making sure you knew that was a good moment to cheer. We have good news to share. I just wanted to share that with you all. Okay, and then 2027, we're kind of aiming for a 55% target there. We'd love to exceed that, but we picked 55% for a specific reason, and I'm going to jump to the next thing for that. 3rd grade ELA is a big deal. I don't know if you remember last year, but you all took that 3rd grade ELA test, right? I think we talked about Tatindo was the main character in that test. All right, and so you see these numbers in 24 and 25, we were at 47.5 and 49.3. And I distinctly remember a challenge from this board. And what did you say about 3rd grade ELA and where you wanted us to be this past year? At least one of you said it. Above 50%. That was the challenge. We've got to get above 50%. I wanted to share with you tonight that we did hit above 50%. Oh, you took a few. Thank you. Yeah, you were learning. Great. 52.3%. So we had a 3% jump in 3rd grade ELA. What we also shared last year is that we do not teach kids to read in 3rd grade. What did we talk about last year? We start this work when? We started in pre-K and kindergarten, right? And we are really working hard. And I say we, it's really not me. I'm just standing up here talking. I've got a team of people behind me that are incredible. They are working so hard to make sure that our pre-K and our kindergarten and our 1st and our 2nd grade kids are accessing text, that they are reading all the time, and that their teachers are being trained at the highest level to give our kids what they need. And we're seeing those results come to fruition in 3rd grade. So I said that 55% for 3 through 5, we want to see that number in 2027. Like, that's what we're aiming for right now. Our teachers know that. We just did our professional development drive kickoff back in July and August. They know that this is our kind of a minimum expectation in 2027. So while we're not satisfied, we're going to continue to push, but we do want to pause and celebrate and reflect, as Dr. Miller said, that we are over that 50% hump that has been a little bit elusive. We've also got good news to share in math, 24 and 25. Remember, you took a math test. I think you got a 4th grade math test, so I'm going to show you some 4th grade data. We had a little bit of decline from 24 to 25. That number has rebounded and kind of exceeded where we were. You can already see that our numbers in math are a little higher. Ms. Connors alluded to that as well. We're aiming for 60% plus in our math scores this year. We did have a slight decline in one category in math. I like to be transparent. Do you want to take a guess in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade where we saw a slight decline in math? It was in 3rd. We saw that great uptick in reading, and then we saw a slight dip in math, and that kills me. Like, I don't like that. I know we're supposed to celebrate, but it's wearing on me. Like, I keep myself up at night, like, what are we going to do in math? But I've got great news to share for math, and that's what I'm going to show you tonight. Take a look at this, 54.8 and 54.8. And then this past year, with the great work led by Ms. Medana, who's the math kind of lead in our district, we had a 6% increase in our 4th and 5th grade math. That's outstanding, right? That is awesome. So we're already over kind of that 60% metric in 4th grade, and we're almost there even in 5th grade. We've just got to get that 3rd grade number up. We've spent so much energy in 3rd grade ELA that we've got to make sure that we're also teaching math in that grade. So we're shooting for 63% in 4th grade math, for example. So those are exciting numbers to start to see pop up. Just real quick, this is what we're doing to make sure that momentum's continuing in literacy, because I know how important it is, through very strategic funding, combination of funds from you all, federal funds, some state grants and things like that. All K-2 classrooms got refreshed materials for how they're teaching early literacy across our entire district. So materials that have been in use in classrooms for 4 and 5 years were completely replaced, and kids have brand new things in every classroom across our district. Almost 3, yes, right? Yeah, like there's more things to be excited about, right? In third grade classrooms, we've got over 3,000 texts that we have just deployed into classrooms. We talked a lot about some books that were put in classrooms last year. We are not slowing down with that. We want text in front of kids all the time. So our third grade teachers are seeing those texts pop up, and these are some fantastic texts. And then also Sumner Reads. We continue to talk about Sumner Reads, and we continue to update Sumner Reads based on parent feedback and teacher feedback. Teachers keep telling us in third grade specifically, they want at least a question or two, some kind of component with that Sumner Reads activity where a kid is going to read that passage, what they've read 2 and 3 times in a week. Is there at least one question or a writing prompt you can add to that? So we have updated third grade Sumner Reads so that they have a question and writing component attached to that. All right, so there's your news for third grade through 5th grade.
I got a question.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. I could see it coming out of your head, Mr. Lancaster.
So, going back to third grade, this past year was Sumner Reads we started when?
It has been in place for, this is going to be our
1.5
3rd year of that,
years?
maybe?
Yeah.
Yes, 3rd year.
Third year, okay.
Yeah.
So those third graders last year would have only had it for second and first grade. So this is the
Got it.
first crop that's had it since kindergarten. And I know, you know, it was first introduced, I think, when my son was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I just know that I know how much it helped him with that daily and in first grade. Now, I haven't seen the folder come home yet, but I know it's coming.
It's coming, yes.
So it's just that daily forced, practice with parents and kids, so that we actually know what. I'm pretty dumb. I don't necessarily know what to read with them. I'd be like, let's read Sports Illustrated if it was just me, but I know we need to be reading, stuff that is those alliteration words and all that fun stuff that they were getting into last year.
Yeah.
So I do see that has definitely helped, and I think that you can kind of see that in the data. So.
Yeah, if we're going to improve third grade literacy, it's an investment in kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade. We tried to talk about that last year, and we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. I mean, we've already seen the fruits of that labor, and we just feel like it's going to continue to build. We've got to build strong, confident readers before they even walk into our third grade classrooms. That is our challenge. Now, we're not passing out Sports Illustrated. That's an idea. I'll bring it back to my team, and we'll see what that looks like.
Mr. Bowman, where do you think third grade literacy starts? Where's the most? I'm not sure if I heard that.
I'm going to continue to say that. I think it starts with those little kids. I would argue that it almost starts from birth.
And I would
Acquire
point,
that language from birth.
and I was going to, Skinner can jump in here too. I would just echo, I think the work that our elementary team that has done, because for decades, K2 was almost an afterthought in terms of what we did, and the work that they are doing right now is just absolutely exemplary. And we're just now starting to see the full fruition of what that looks like over time. It's planting acorns.
But you also, like, my son was born in 2018, and so his preschool time was cut short because of COVID. Then when he got back to preschool, it's like, oh, let's learn how to say our ABCs with the mask on and sound out word. It's all that crap, is still kind of hindering kids to a certain extent. So, just to see any positive growth with that is definitely worthwhile.
With every one of these scores, there's a lot of extraneous things that are happening in environments that impact a child. Every one of these numbers impact people, or people represented by that, right? And so you're absolutely right. So to have improvement with those challenges, we love it. All right, I'm turning it over to Mr. Chris.
Miss Brittany.
Oh, sorry. Something about libraries?
Of course.
You asked me about libraries in the past, yes.
Of course. I'll start by shouting out the same way I did last time, which our libraries are a key fundamental part of our foundational reading. And so that leads me to ask, one of the things that I see with my 2nd and 3rd graders, and my older one, is that there's trends in reading on what the kids are interested in. And there's some that stay very, very consistent. Can we integrate more of the trends of reading into some of the fluency work? I know I've mentioned this before. We always do the fluency at home, but it's always a fight. And I could see, every third grade parent has heard of Warriors or Wings of Fire. You know, there's a theme that most of the kids are really interested in. Can we start pulling some of those themes in to our fluency homework?
I think it's a great question, and I would push back that it's a little bit of a balance. So
Sure.
you probably don't have students that go to the shelf and pull off Tatinda in the story that we read last year, right? But we're also trying to build confident readers, and they're going to lean to certain topics, right? So in K1 and 2, our Sumner Reads activities are really aligned to the skills, the phonics skills that Brian learned in that classroom, so that we're practicing at home the same skill that you're learning in class. In third grade, we start to expose them to content passages that they're reading. Those have been updated this year to incorporate some different topics than we have explored previously, and it's got a variety of text in it. So the first one is, it's really about the first days of school, really, and it's a poem that a kid talks about really not wanting to get out of bed. It kind of reminds me of that Alexander and the Very Terrible No Good Day. Similar kind of topic. So trying to touch on throughout the year some moments that a kid would be experiencing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's great.
So those have been updated in third grade, again, with teacher feedback, with parent feedback. We do solicit parent feedback, and we make adjustments based on that. So it's a great question.
Yeah, I think the difference is the foundational need of phonics and reading is just as critical as developing the love of reading. That's where I get excited about our libraries, is that's
Yes.
where it's where you learn to create reading as a habit and a lifelong love more than just a practice.
Yeah.
The other question I wanted to ask, we saw that difference between third grade and fourth grade, and you specifically pointed out we're looking at a person with these numbers. What trends do we see year over year? So if we saw significant growth in last year's fourth graders, will we see growth this year's fifth graders? We saw a dip with last year's third graders. Will we see a dip or does it tend to be more solid to the grade rather than the group of students?
Talking about a cohort of kids moving from one grade to the next grade.
Yeah.
So Ms. Connor touched on it already, but we really measure that with our growth scores, not our achievement scores. So we celebrate today, of course, these achievement scores. We also do look at growth, and let's say you start at one point in the racetrack, I think it's the image she used last year, and somebody else starts at a different point in the racetrack. Then we measure as they're going around that racetrack for the next school year how ahead or behind they're falling. We really closely monitor that, especially with our subgroup data, because I'm in federal programs, we follow that with students with economically disadvantaged and those things. There is more news on that front with how we're doing as a district. We are reviewing that data right now, and it'll be released very soon. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we are watching that closely, and I would just say that we've got a lot of good news to share beyond what we're sharing today. Is that okay?
I think it sort of answered my question.
All right. Let me try again.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, we talked about math where we had a dip in third grade.
Different group of kids.
With a group of kids. So then in fourth grade, we've got a great number. Are we gonna see a lower number next year because we have a group of kids that have more room to grow? They might have a great growth, but they'll still be lower than the comparative kids for this.
That possibility exists. That option is not an option on the table for my team.
Great, I love that answer.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that is a possibility. I would also say, sorry, that third grade did dip across the state. So we followed a similar trend with the state. Still not okay with that. We
Yeah.
prefer to counter the state, what they're doing.
Great, thank you.
Sorry.
One thing I do want to say, just elementary school kids, is I know you all are probably always looking, what's the magic bullet, right? What's the solution? How do we always hit the mark? What are the things that we need to continue to be doing to make sure that our kids are reading at level and getting the scores that we want? And it's not necessarily a question, it's just a statement, but I remember when I was first on the board, we had a lot of conversations about teaching to the test, and people and teachers were burned out because they felt all they could do was teach to the test, and they weren't allowed to teach, they were checking a box. And as I've seen the scores continue to improve over the last 3 or 4 years, I equate a little bit of that to, as I'm in schools and talking to teachers, I see more and more teachers feel like they can actually teach. Yes, there are boxes they have to check, and they're trying to hit certain scores, and there are certain subjects and content that they've got to cover, but it feels like they feel like they can be more of themselves as teachers and less box checkers to help somebody get a score. And I feel like that's one of the things that we're starting to see in the classroom too, is their personality, their creativity, the way that they get kids to learn a subject and be engaged. It's not as much writing on a chalkboard and repeating it. It's getting them to really learn and be a part of learning, not just a student observer that's trying to remember something. And so I think that's credit to you, the staff, the administration, our teachers that are in the school. They do an incredible job. But I'm seeing that across the board. I'm hearing that from teachers that feel like, hey, I can actually teach. And so I appreciate what you guys are doing and what you're instilling in the teachers and encouraging them to do. So thank you.
I've got to say this. All three of these things are birthed from teacher feedback telling us this is what we want, this is what we need, and we're doing everything we can to respond to what they're telling us they're seeing on the front line. They've said, I need updated materials. We're doing everything we can to get it to them. We want more books in our classrooms. We're doing everything. We need to partner with parents strategically and also keep interest. And so that's why we're responding to do that. So I appreciate you saying that. You could not have said a nicer thing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bowman. Great things happening in our elementary schools. I'm Adam Cripps, the supervisor of middle school instruction. And the first thing I'll do is give a shout out to our middle school students, our teachers and staff, our leaders. AJ Penny and I are the support team for middle school, and it's such a pleasure to walk alongside our middle school partners to grind every day for growth. So we're excited about some of the growth that we've seen. So I want to start out with celebrating some of our focus areas, our goals. So when we look at 8th grade ELA proficiency, and then to the right side, you'll see some growth in writing. I do want to highlight that huge jump from 25 to 26, so a huge celebration to push from 41.9% to 47.4% of our students hitting that mark. And like Dr. Bowman indicated, our goal is to get over that 50%. So that's a huge goal for us coming into this school year. If you look to the right side, that targeted writing success. So on the ELA TCAP assessment, writing is about 30% of a weight. So there's a total of 16 operational points. So students can earn 16 out of about 50-something points total from the writing portion. And so if you look at the very bottom, that 6.8 average, that growth from 8.6 to 9.3%, I know that seems small, but that represents kids. More kids hitting that mark in the writing assessment, helping us pull the overall proficiency in ELA higher. So we're excited about the growth in both of those areas. 8th grade math, you see the growth was a little bit less. So our goal there is to really push in this year, focus in on standards, materials, and see what opportunities do we have to maximize more success there. So that's success with some of those target areas. If you look overall with 6 through 8 ELA proficiency, you can see 45.2, 46.7, 48% for this year, and our goal overall 6.8 is to get over that 50% mark to hit 52% for this school year. If you look at 6.8 math proficiency, 59.9% to 61.7%, you see there just a small decline. So our goal is to, like I said, push in and really get us over that, back to that 63% there. We had a decline in the 7th grade math and 8th grade math that we're really focused on this year to see what that impact was. Something to celebrate, we had an awesome middle school drive. That is where we kicked off the professional learning. Our focus was on unity, a growth mindset around collaborative planning. So looking at standards, looking at curriculum, and seeing how can we maximize growth for all of our students. So just really wanted to celebrate our teachers. It was a great kickoff and some great work happening there. And now I'm going to hand things over to Kim Meadows.
Hello. I am very happy to get to give some information about high school. And what we'll start with is the same with our English proficiency. And you'll see that, we've gone up each year, which is a great celebration for sure. And we've set our goal for this next year at 60% and totally believe that we can do that. And we're going to highlight English too, because that is one that we're just really, really proud of. We have far exceeded what the goal is this year with English 2. And so it's just something that we're so proud of our teachers and our students, and you know, the high school team has done great work. And it really, I've always said that, you know, in high school we get to celebrate all the big things like scholarships and graduations and all those things, but the only reason that we have scores like this is because elementary and middle and everybody did their part to get the kids where they needed to be. So it's a group effort, so it's not just a celebration for high school, it's a celebration across the board. High school math proficiency, again, we're getting there. It's a little bit slower, but we're gonna get there, and 50% no doubt is our goal for this coming year. We definitely are making strides, but this is where we are right now with Algebra 1. And we're going to get there, and I really believe that next year at this time we're going to be able to say that we're at 50%. We've got some great things in place for that. There is the piece of transitioning from middle school to high school that sometimes is a little bit bumpy, and that was always something near and dear to my heart when I was in high school, and as a counselor, to try to make that transition as seamless as possible. But sometimes there's a little bit of a dip there that you'll see with scores, but it's going to come back. One thing that I'm super excited to talk about is AP exams. We had 1,435 students take 2,119 exams. Of course, they took multiple exams, but what I think is just incredible is that 88% of those students received college credit by making a 3 or higher. And that's not just at a few schools. AP is at all of our high schools. And I think that's just an incredible feat that all of our schools are giving this opportunity to all of the students. It's not about can you get somewhere by transportation. It's not about can you be there after school or can you be there on the weekend. It's about it's happening during instruction time in our schools, and everyone has access to it. And you know, these kids, even if you score a 2, you're not going to make it in the 88% chart here. But even with a 2, it means you're college and career ready. You're ready to go to college if you have a 2 on your test. So it's just a great feat, and the strides that you can make by just having a student in the AP class it's incredible. The next one that I know as a parent of a child in college that makes me very happy is the scholarship comparison. We went from 2025 at 70 million, which was incredible, to an increase of $22 million that was offered to our seniors last year, and at 93 million and a little bit of change. My son was not a part of the 93 million because he's been out for a minute, but it would have been nice if he had been. But that's crazy. And again, I say that, you know, high school teams and teachers and schools get to celebrate this, but the only reason that we get here is because of what everybody else is doing too. I also have a great team, John Hill and Pam Sanders, that are behind me, that are the experts in all these things. So I'm thrilled to work in this capacity this year. Mr. Chase Moore, the Chase Moore.
Y'all should go ahead and get prepared. Chase is really long-winded when he does these presentations.
I'm going 7 tonight. We'll see how it goes. Good evening. Happy to be here with you all. I'm beginning year 10 in some version of this role. And so the last 9 years, you'll see 5 data points on this slide. This hasn't changed. I don't know if it's possibly singular focus in 5 areas, but we have been. We haven't changed what we're focused on because, number one, it's what's best for our students. We know that students can go a variety of places after high school to be successful, whether it's a 2-year community college or a 4-year or a TCAT or apprenticeship program or even right to work. There's lots of pathways to success. And so what we've tried to do in CTE is to offer a number of opportunities so our students can be prepared no matter what path they want to take, whatever path aligns with their skill sets, their aptitudes, and their interests. Like Dr. Miller said, you're going to see lots of great numbers here, but it goes back to our people. We have 140 high school CTE teachers, another 41 middle school CTE teachers, over 200 total people in our schools either teaching CTE or supporting CTE teachers. And none of this happens without great personnel in our schools. And so I want to make sure you keep that in mind as we go through this. All right, so our first number I want to talk about is industry credentials. So credentials, remember from last year when we talked about this, it's one thing for me to put on my resume, I have this skill set. And you as the employer has to believe me or not. The credential is evidence to that employer I have earned the skill. Don't take my word for it. Here's the test I passed that's relevant in our industry that you as an employer know about. Yes, I value this credential. I see that you earned that skill. So this past school year alone, in 1 year, we had over 2,000 credentials earned by high school students in our schools, which is an incredible number. And on top of that, it's not just like we're doing 1 or 2 or 3 credentials at a high level. We had 37 different credentials earned. Everything from health science to culinary arts to ag to business. We offer 41 different programs, and these credentials run the gamut across most of those programs. So great numbers. So here's a graph showing kind of how that's changed. 9 years ago, we were at 120 as a district. We've grown over 2,000 credentials per year last year and this year. So again, just show, you'll see a little dip. I think 2,000 is where we're going to stay. I think we'll probably fluctuate up and down around that 2,000 mark. But that's a great plateau to be at, coming from 120 10 years ago. And again, that's incredible work. And not only by our teachers, but students to pass those exams, because they're not always easy at all. So great work by them. Next slide is early post-secondary opportunities. So these are ways that our high school students can earn college credit through a CTE class. So real quick, dual credit, that means they take a high school course and they pass an exam created by college. So we have 4 of those through Vol State, 2 through MTSU, 1 through Nashville State. And so we're right around where we were last year. 311 was our highest ever 2 years ago. We dropped slightly a little bit last year, and the reason for the drop was we focused more on dual enrollment. So dual enrollment means the class I'm enrolled in, if I pass, I get college credit and high school credit at the same time. So the big push here has been TCAT. We know what a great option TCAT is for our students. You know what you pay when you have somebody went in the trade come to your house. It's not cheap. These are great options for students, and it's Tennessee Promise, so it's free. So they can graduate at 2021 debt-free, making a ton of money, living at home. And so we're trying to push more students to TCAT. So what we've done is in a lot of our traditional trade programs, so think machining, welding, construction, automotive, we're basically making all of those level 3 and 4 classes dual enrollment with TCAT. And the goal is when students earn that TCAT credit, they're going to continue on, whether it's TCAT Portland, TCAT Hartsville, TCAT Nashville. We have 3 options very close to us that students can continue on to and hopefully earn that TCAT certificate. So dual enrollment, that number almost doubled from what it was. 330 was a previous high, and we almost doubled that high. And then the last one there is AP exams. For AP exams, there's only 2 that align with CTE, and those are both in the computer science world. There's an AP Computer Science Principles exam, and there's an AP Computer Science A exam. We were in the 20s for several years, which is a good number, but again, we almost doubled that number this past year because we have more schools, like to Ms. Meadows' point, more schools offering AP opportunities, and that goes into CTE as well with those computer science courses. CTSOs. Now, to me, as a former CTE teacher, a former DECA student at Beach, CTSOs were always my favorite part. It stands for Career and Technical Student Organization. So every CTE class is aligned to a CTSO. So we have 6 of them in Sumner County. We have FBLA for business courses, FFA for ag, DECA for marketing, FCCLA for human services, HOSA for health science, and then Skills USA is kind of the catch-all. So no matter what program a student is in, he or she has access to CTSO. So what happened here was, I'm gonna show you a number that counts how many chapter members did we have, how many district and regional competitors did we have, state competitors, and national. So you could be counted 4 times, depending on if you can participate in all 4 of those. So our number this past year, again, highest we've ever had, almost 6,000 participants in those areas. And you'll see how we've grown. So coming out of 2021, after COVID, participation was way down because a lot of those events were virtual. And for a student, trying to get them to compete in front of a computer screen with other students in front of their computer screens, that's not really the spirit of CTSOs. And so we talked a lot about the importance of CTSOs. We hear from employers all the time, maybe the professional skills that are lacking. Well, those are honed through CTSOs. And so we've talked a lot about how important those are. So you'll see that number has more than doubled since coming out of COVID, because our teachers have put an emphasis on it and showed our students how valuable that is to their high school experience. Any questions? Yes, sir.
How do we, remind me how we go about choosing which CTE courses we offer, and then are we, I guess, continually assessing what, if we need to adjust and offer something different, or whatever? It's kind of how do you direct that?
No, that's a great question. And we've changed several over the past few years. So typically, CTSO programs are historical. So what has that school had? Then when a teacher leaves, it's not just, okay, that a business teacher left, let's put another business class there. No, it's, okay, we look at our advisory council, we look at employer data, we look at the job openings in our market. What does Sumner County and the local employers need? Where's our supply short for local employers? And then we look at youth science data. So looking at 8th graders coming up, what's our middle schoolers' aptitudes? What are they good at? What do we want to make sure we're offering that aligns to our rising students? And then, so for example, we have added an electrical program at Station Camp High School this year. We added construction at Gallatin. We added a second cosmetology teacher. And so we continue to add programs or change programs to make sure we're filling the demand of our local markets.
So one thing I want to say is, you know, I'm a board member. I'm also a parent. Got 6 kids. Yes, it's a lot. We call them the bigs and the littles. My oldest are 26, 24, 22. My youngest 3 are a junior, freshman now, and an 8th grader in middle school. And I have seen the difference that CTE makes in how these kids are starting to think about their future education and their future opportunities. When I was in high school, I mean, the whole thing was I'm going to college. Even with my older kids, it was, hey, what class are you going to take so you can go off to college? My freshman this year, he's looking at CTE and saying, you know, let me back up. He loves 911, the show. He's watched every episode of SWAT 2 or 3 times, and he's convinced that he's going to be an EMT or a firefighter. And so he's looked at the CTE program and said, hey, if I take these classes or health science, I'm going to get a head start, and I can graduate and move right into that profession. Save money, save time, save energy, get the training from the people in this community. And so we're starting to see the kids in our community start to think different. And the CTE program is a huge part of this, because kids are starting to find what their passion is and seeing how they can start engaging earlier in life and pursue that passion and really be engaged and get these certifications, so that when they walk out of high school, they're prepared to be good, solid members of our community working jobs that we need people in this community to work. And so thank you for what you're doing. And again, I appreciate just the changes in how education is going on in our country and our ability to be at the front end of that with the programs that we're offering. Because again, as a parent, I see it in my kids and the way they look at education now versus when my older kids looked at it, even when I was in high school, Gallatin, Tennessee, many, many moons ago. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chase, sorry, Mr. Moore.
Yes, sorry.
Just quickly, we're seeing a lot of talk in the corporate space around the changing landscape of work, and especially around how AI is impacting and changing work. How do you use those conversations to impact what you're doing at CTE?
We haven't had a ton with our CTE teachers. We're kind of piloting some work at the Innovation Center before we kind of roll it out in mass. But the idea is we know AI is going to be a part of future work. So that means we have to embrace it. We have to make sure our teachers know how to confidently share that. And that's probably the piece we're working on now, is to make sure that our teachers are great, and many of them have been teaching for a while. But that means that when they taught, when they were in the workforce 15 years ago, they didn't have to deal with AI. And so now that's where those advisory councils come into play, and they're meeting with those employers. They're learning, hey, how is your company currently utilizing AI? Because I want to teach my students in our classroom those same skills, so when they leave my classroom, they're ready for your job. And so that's kind of the next step over the next year or two that we're taking with our advisory councils, is being sure that we know how AI is being utilized, and so we can then pass it on to the students, because we don't want that to be a barrier for their employment. We want them to be above their peers because they already know how to be more efficient due to their AI usage. Yeah. All right, appreciate it. Now, Julie Daniel.
All right, nobody likes to follow Chase Moore. He always has something good to share. So thank you for that. I'm Julie Daniel, the Director of Exceptional Ed. As you all know, this past year was my first year to lead the team that I worked alongside for many, many years. And the first thing that we said as a team is we have to take a step back. We really do have to reflect on what we are doing. It's very easy in special education to get mired in legalities and compliance, and we can't lose sight of the population of students that we serve, which are students with disabilities. So in that work, our step back revealed 2 priorities that we have last year as well as this year. And our departmental focus is, first and foremost, we have to get students with disabilities in front of Tier 1 instruction. Most of you may not know that we have a system of accountability in special education as well. The state provides us with a report every year, and it basically measures the effectiveness of our special education programs. So of course we're looking at statewide assessment for students with disabilities, but part of that is also looking at our least restrictive environment. Are we serving students with disabilities in the least restrictive environment, and that's a regular education setting, at least 80% of the day? And we are given targets for that. I've listed what our target was for this past year. You can see that it's 78.34% of our students to be in a regular ed environment at least 80% of the day. It's important to remember that our students are served on a continuum, and we don't have students who fit in one box. And our responsibility to those students is to determine the extent to which they can participate in a regular classroom. So we're not saying that we're looking at 100% of kids being in a regular ed setting at least 100% of the day, but we do need to increase their access to Tier 1 instruction. We'll talk a little bit about what our trajectory looks like for that. We've missed the mark each year, but we're getting super close. All right, the other priority is, of course, if we get the students in front of Tier 1 instruction, how are we going to strengthen what they're doing? For too long, we have separated those students and we've done different things with them. We've determined that they need special education services that are really different from what students in regular ed are getting, and we need to focus on aligning that work that they are doing with what's happening in Tier 1. So that is our focus, is to strengthen specially designed instruction, which is a responsibility that we have to those students. All right, let's take a look at our least restrictive environment. You can see in 21-22, we only had 68.7% of students in a regular ed class at least 80% of the day. Remember that these are students ages 5 to 21. We do educate students through their 21st birthday. This does not include our early childhood students who are ages 3 to 5, although we do look at that as well. And you can see that we went from 68.76 to this past year, based on our December 1st count, to 78.34. Or 78.11. Our target was 78.34, so you can see that we missed that. I mean, that when I saw that, it was kind of like a knife to the rib, because we were super close and we just missed it. But we're getting there, and you can see that we're the closest that we've ever been. We're proud of that work. It does take an intentional work. It takes work that our department does with the instruction department, but we feel good about the direction that we're heading with that. Any questions? Who would like to hear from Melanie Webster, our newest teammate? Mel. For those of you who don't know, Melanie used to work in the exceptional ed department.
Did. I was special ed coordinator for a while. All right. Thank you, Julie. Okay. Yes, thank you. So again, my name is Melanie Webster. I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about chronic absenteeism. They saved the best for last. First, talk about chronic absenteeism. Favorite topic. But seriously, our department sat down and we said, how in the world are we going to get these students to school? How are we going to be able to reach these goals, these wonderful goals that Ms. Connor talked about, and how are we going to have continuous progression in our students' achievement? And it was simple. We got to get the students in the seats. We got to get them there so that we can teach our students. So what we did, typically, there's two outcomes I want to talk about. Chronic absenteeism, which I want to celebrate, we have reduced, and I want to talk about the reduction of truancy referrals. So those are two things I want us to celebrate, and I'll give you a little bit of data on that in just a moment. But first of all, we decided that there's a difference between chronic absenteeism and truancy. Chronic absenteeism, by definition, is a student that has missed 10% or more of their school days. And the truancy is any student, by definition, that has 6 unexcused absences, or that has reached at least Tier 3 in the progressive truancy intervention. Typically, our department goes in and we do intervention at Tier 3, where a student is already truant or chronically absent. Our goal and our district-wide priority has been to go in now at Tier 1 and Tier 2. Last year we did that. That's why we're able to celebrate that we have had an overall reduction of at least 2%. We've had 2% in K through 8, and we've had over 3% in our high school reduction of chronic absenteeism. And we actually had 4 schools that were cut their chronic absenteeism rate in half. And we had 8 schools that reduced it by 5%. So I celebrate that because that is a huge celebration, and what that means that we've been able to get those students in front of Tier 1 instruction and get more learning going on in the classroom. We actually too had a reduction in our truancy referrals. In 2024 and 25, we had 276 referrals that we took to juvenile court. We were able this year to have a reduction. We only had 123 referrals. So that was 153 reduction in our truancy referrals.
Could you walk them through what that looks like for the school and for your office? Because these interventions are powerful, but they are really, really time consuming.
Right. So what I think has been successful, so we have Tier 1, they're called progressive truancy interventions, and they are required by the law that we put these truancy interventions in place. Tier 1 is like the overall school-wide incentives or initiatives that a school puts in place to help students get to school. Tier 2 is when we go in and we have what we call a brief intervention, what we call a school attendance review team meeting, where we call the parent in. The law tells us we have to do an attendance contract. We do an attendance contract to talk about what can we do to help your student get to school, what can we do to reduce those barriers of your student attending school. We also felt that we're required to fill out what we call an individualized student assessment, and with this assessment we really break down, is it because it's a medical issue, is it an anxiety issue, is it they're not understanding the content issue, do they feel like they're not, could it be a bullying or whatever. But whatever they state or whatever comes out of that that assessment, that's what we specifically intervene. Do we need to get the nurse involved? Do we need to get a crisis social worker involved? Do we need to, get them help with assistance with transportation or food or clothing or anything that we can do to reduce that barrier at that time? How I think we've been able to reduce our chronic absenteeism is getting in and intervening earlier. We have 3 truancy officers, Robin Halliwell, Robin Sanders, and Sheila Sorrells, that have done an amazing job and have been very intentional in getting to all of our schools and participating in Tier 2, not waiting until Tier 3. So I think that's how we've been able to reduce our truancy referrals, is getting in there early so that we can get them in their seats to learn. Another thing we're doing, we have adopted, which I've passed out to you, we have adopted, it's from Attendance Works, and it's called Strive for 95. So our goal and what we're promoting to our families, this is on our website as well, that Strive for 95 means that we want our students to attend school at least 95% of the time. And something that we have started, and we were very successful with it last year, the second page that you see is called an attendance tracker. We are asking students to actually track their own attendance so they have the awareness of how much school they are missing. we have found that during these meetings with our families, we ask a parent, how many days do you think your child missed school last year? They typically will say, oh, 7, 8. And then, so what we find out that they've actually missed a lot more than that. So what we have found to be successful is that we help the students be aware and track their own attendance so that they know how much time they are missing. So that was very successful last year. We're going to implement this district-wide this year so the students have that awareness and that we can get them in the seats even more. This also is a skill to help them move on for a job skill as well so that they have that awareness. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, sir.
How much of a day can be missed? What is that absence? Is that half a day or
A
5
student
days?
has to be in attendance more than half of the day, 3 hours and 17 minutes to be exact. Yes, sir. All right, I think Ms. Skinner is up.
We'll wrap it up pretty quickly here, but wanted to leave you with this quote. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And as you've heard reflections tonight, I hope it is very clear about the systems we put in place. I do want to reflect on SMART historically for a moment. So in 2024, I want to speak to your comment, Mr. Daniels. Dr. Langford and I went out and met with school teams or principals actually in groups of 3 and really had conversations around build the relationship, build the culture so that the conditions for learning can happen and then the test scores will come. So that is our mission and our vision, and we want those things to be at the forefront because relationship and culture is very important to get the learning to come in on the back end. And so then the alignment part comes in the next year where we had groups of people come in from all over, all schools, all different grade levels, all different roles, where we decided what we wanted to focus on. And those 3 areas for alignment were high quality materials, collaborative planning, and coaching and feedback. And so this year, that got a little bit tighter, and we get some focus areas where you could see those 3rd grade ELA scores, those 8th grade math scores, English 2, and so on. And then the 3rd part of our system is to act. And that is where our school leaders, our teachers, our parents, we are seeing this growth mindset and buying into our focus areas so that we can improve outcomes for students. So really proud of our work, really proud of the academic team, and really proud of our schools for joining in this effort with us together.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Good. All right, then before we move to the next item on the agenda, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute recess, and then we'll come right back. So recess. call the meeting back to order.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad you're here.
All right, moving on to new business. First item on the agenda is discussion or action regarding recommended action from the Sumner County Commission regarding the Brown House. The Sumner County Commission unanimously approved the quitclaim deed during the August 17th meeting. Dr. Langford recommends a motion to approve transferring the Latimer House to Sumner County via quitclaim deed contingent on the board's legal counsel working with the county's attorney to ensure the quitclaim deeds is factual and legally accurate. So that is the motion. Do I have a motion to approve? I have approved. Do I have a second? Okay, I've got a second. All right, so now we're on discussion of the motion.
Right, so the way this is worded is not accurate. Okay, so what we're doing is we're voting to approve what the county commission approved last night, and that was not to quitclaim deed the property to the county, it's to quitclaim deed the property to the nonprofit. Okay, so that is what they voted on last night, because we're joint, well, I'm still
Yeah,
talking.
well, I just want, let me have Mr. Johnson clarify, and then I'll come right back to you.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Johnson, what were you?
My apologies, Mr. King. If you guys would update your agenda really quickly, I think it may be. So, Mr. Presnell caught that wording tweet just a few minutes ago, and we revised the recommended motion from Dr. Langford, which is Mr. Presnell's wording, which is recommends a motion to approve transferring the Latimer House to Friends of the Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park via quitclaim deed contingent on the board's legal counsel working with the county attorney to ensure the quitclaim deed is factually and legally accurate.
Okay, so do I have?
Can you read that one more time for me, please?
Dr. Langford recommends a motion to approve transferring the Latimer House to Friends of the Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park via quitclaim deed contingent on the board's legal counsel working with the county attorney to ensure the quitclaim deed is factually and legally accurate.
Okay, so what I need to just refresh, is that all?
Yeah, I think so. And let me do this real quick. So those motion and a second, are we?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good with changing it to that language. Sorry, Mr. King. I just want to make sure if there's a change. I saw him kind of chime in real quick, and I want to make sure I
Sorry to interrupt you,
got
Mr.
that
King.
correct. So,
Okay, I'm just not seeing that language on here, so I'd love to have that on here.
While we're getting the language updated, I do want to clarify, Dr. Langford mentioned this last comment, working with the county's attorney. To clarify, and Dr. Langford can make sure I'm correct. All we're saying in that statement in his recommendation is that if there's a survey, if there's any minor changes to the deed itself, that we don't have to go back through the process of approving it at the commission level and the school board level. The attorneys will work together to update whatever language is needed so that we can continue to moving forward with the project instead of bogging it down with going back through different boards again. I believe that's the intention of that language. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, just mainly for the deed document.
So I would, just a comment on that. So we, as a school board, the Board of Education, we have been working with the Davy Group, the consulting group, on this property to make sure that the mitigation boundaries are accurate. They have done all that, working with I don't believe it was Mr. Presnell, it was one of our other attorneys who have been in contact not only with Army Corps of Engineers, TDEC, in working with the Davy Consulting Group to make sure that all the boundaries are accurate, are set. And I have the map, I sent it to everyone. There really is there's nothing to really be contingent on. We have access to the home. The county has access to the home per the PRM mitigation plan that was approved by the Army Corps of Engineers. And so I can pass this around to you guys, but it's a pretty big, it's a pretty big space between where they drew the boundary and where the house is. So I don't think there's going to be any problem surveying the area. Our attorneys have already been on this. They approved this plan. So making it contingent on that is going to, I think, delay it. I don't think that should be part of the motion. I think it should be just part of our procedure, but I don't think it should be part of the motion. So
I think, Mr. King, to clarify,
Yeah, here.
I think that what we're talking about is when they survey it, they can make the actual deed reflect what's on that map. It's to make sure that we don't have to come back and get any kind of final, like, if it reflects that, they get it worked out, but if they hit any minor bumps, they can just fix it without having to come back through. That's what my understanding of it is. Mr. President, I can weigh in if you'd like.
Yes, that's right. We want to make sure that the legal description matches the DRG, Davie Resource Group map here.
Okay, so is that going to depend on a final survey being registered with the Register of Deeds? There is a deadline by October 13th, so we're gonna basically delay this quit claim until then, or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think all we're saying now is we want to make, if you approve this quitclaim deed and pass it tonight, then that just gives me the authority to work with the county attorney to make sure the legal description fits the carve out here that Davie Resource Group has come forward with. If it takes a survey, it may, but I don't see it as a big delay. I just want to make sure we get the legal description correct, particularly given those mitigation efforts, which has been accomplished.
Right, okay. So I just want to make sure that what we're doing tonight is going to be a final step.
Yes.
We're going to approve what we did, what the county did last night. So what we're doing is just, as a joint owner of the property, we're not adding anything that the county would have to come back and approve.
No.
As a joint owner.
Correct.
Okay.
No, I think what we're doing is we're making sure, like, you're closing all the loopholes to make sure it's clean, it reflects everything both places. I don't think you want to be a position where we transfer property to a nonprofit and then somebody challenges that and we end up tied up in court for 6 months or a year. This allows us to get everything right, to reflect that map. And, I'm like Mr. Presnell, I think the Davie Group has done a good job. It'll just button everything up, make sure it's sound. Ms. Prenny?
I have a couple of questions. Just to level set here, I think having a nonprofit involved in this process is fantastic. I think the community deserves a voice in the restoration here. But there are a few things missing for me right now. The first one is Exhibit A that is referenced in this quitclaim deed is not available. And I would like to see Exhibit A. I know that that's likely what you'll be working on with Mr. Stetler.
Correct.
But I would like to understand what they're saying it looks like today compared to what we think it should be. The other question I have, I think Mr. Presnell, you might be able to answer this one for me. This property is, right there at the schools at Liberty Creek. And my understanding was as long as the schools were owners, or at least partial owners of the property, we had the ability to make sure that people who are not allowed to be on school property were not allowed to be in the park property. If we quitclaim this, does that change?
Well, can you clarify that for me, just what changed the ability to?
If we as the Sumner County Board of Education quitclaim the deed to this land, I believe that would then open that land up to people who would not be allowed to come on Sumner County school property. Would now be allowed to come on that property.
If we quitclaim this, it goes to the nonprofit, and then they have control over that property at that time. So we're essentially giving them whatever interest we have in that strip of property that includes the house and then the access to the road.
I think
the rest of it's outside of that.
Yeah, I think probably the clarification is on the original thing, like we were talking about the house plus about an 80-acre park, and I think that's where the language would be about usage in a park versus a historic house that's been preserved for like, for the usage there. I think you would still be protected in the sense that like if there's anybody that's on a sexual predator list or anything like that, you would still be close enough to all those schools that they would be prohibited from being in that area. I think that some of the things when we were planning the park, and I'm trying to go back to remember from like 2019, some of the things we talked about is to apply to get the grant that we got. The county didn't have the ability to mow the grass and do some things like that, and so we did a joint partnership to kind of blend resources together. But some of that was then to say, like, let's be really clear if we're talking about people having access to an 80-acre park versus an 1/8 of an acre parcel with a historic house on it. I think we could, I think you would still have the protections of a sexual predator can't be within so many yards of a school facility, so I think you would be okay there.
But someone outside of that bucket where they're not allowed on Sumner County property for whatever reason, they would be allowed on the.
I think it would depend on, we would have to work with the sheriff on that because, we run into this all the time because you have somebody that's not allowed on first off, we don't have very many people that are not allowed on the Sumner County property. When we do have that, we still have to work with them on things like if their child is graduating or something like that, we have to work on specific accommodations for that. I think that we would work on that with the sheriff's office. I also believe that if we were hitting something like that, we could do an MOU with the nonprofit if we thought that was going to be an issue, based on what their usage of the facility was. If the usage is primarily educational and open up for kids to do historical programs, I think we would be fine versus a park that would be more public access.
I would like to better understand that before we make final decisions on something like this. I personally want to understand if we have any risk to our students, being that close to our students, that we are giving up control over. That's just the ability to say you're not allowed on Sumner County Schools property, you're not allowed on this property. It's close enough to our schools that I think it's worth understanding that risk before we make a decision.
Thank you. Mr. King?
Yeah, so it's a public park. It's not a school park. That's been established. And, there was a park plan that was in place. The whole plan from the beginning was that it was going to be a public park. There was going to be, the entire area there is 88 acres. There were going to be trails, overlooks. The plan was, it was part of a master park plan. The whole idea was it was going to be a public park. And the house, the way that the will and the codicil describes it, it's the house is the centerpiece of that park, and the county already established a park there, and it is a public park, and so it would be you'd have to go to the county, have them, I guess, rescind that and no longer do that. But that is we're many years into this process, so. We have many other public parks within the vicinities of schools, and it would function in the same way. I would like to make an amendment to the motion. My amendment would be that that the timeline for our attorney would be 1 week to I guess approve that this contingency would be for 1 week for our legal counsel to make a determination that everything is in good shape. So that's my amendment, that we would that our attorney contingent on the board's legal counsel working with the county's attorney to ensure the quitclaim deeds is factually and legally accurate within 1 week. That's my amendment.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second? Mr. Presnell, do you have any concerns? Mr. Johnson?
No, absent something unforeseen, I do not have a concern.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Probably should just add,
on the amendment.
I know, but the amendment, we probably should have the date though. 1 week as of tomorrow, today. Because
Yeah, by next Tuesday, I guess a week from today, is that okay?
That's my point, that you just said 1 week, but there's
Why
no,
don't we
I said
say-
a 1 week and
there's no date attached.
So I would say 8/26.
Okay, by 8/26.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. 8:26. Any other comments on the amendment? I think you're on the main motion. All right, then all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries. All right, back on the main motion, Mr. Lancaster.
Yeah, just, I understand the point that I think Mr. Brandon's trying to bring up. My question is like, how's that any different from any other school? Like, for example, Jack Anderson's right across from the goat farm that they wanted to turn into, you know, a hockey sports complex. We can't necessarily control, I mean, there are laws in place that you can't do certain things on there. You have laws in place that if you're, you know, sex offender, whatever, you can't be within a certain distance of a school, but we can't control who goes on a property any more than anybody else, any other things. So I guess my question is like, why would we try to carve something out here? We'd be more concerned here than we would any other, and this is just, you know, a historic home on a piece of property that's between two schools. That's the only thing I know.
Thank you. Is that all you had, Mr. Lancaster? All right, Ms.
I would
Brady.
just say the difference is that today we have that ability to ensure that if you're not supposed to be on Sumner County Schools, you're not supposed to be on that property either, regardless of where that property could be in a different school. We don't own property at the different school. We're not a part of the deed at a different location. We're a part of the deed here. I just would like to understand the risk. I think this is a pretty quick turnaround. We have not even had a study session on it, and I'd love to understand that better before we make any decisions.
Thank you.
I think Ms. Brown may be able to give us a little clarity.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I understand what you're asking about, folks, because I know there are general laws for the public of where they're allowed to be with the school property for certain convictions and things like that, but there are times where individuals are not allowed on school property for other reasons that the school district determines. There are very few of those, but it does exist. And there are other places, like others have said, where we adjoin with with parks and other public property. Obviously all of our schools are right next to neighborhoods and houses, and we don't control all of those things, but what we do try to do is mitigate that risk. Anytime that someone is known to not be allowed on a campus, those schools in that vicinity are aware of that individual, and the officers in those schools can identify that individual. We also try to make it clear with signage if there's a vague boundary, which I think would probably be a good idea in this case, where we would maybe delineate, entering Sumner County Schools property or something like that. I think that there are ways to delineate that without us having to set up some kind of policy or rule about who can move where. We just say like, hey, this is our property, and if we told you to not be on it, then you can't. So we already work in those situations and on all of our properties. Does that answer your question?
To some degree, would you expect there to be a cost associated to the school board for that?
No. I mean, signage is something that we would probably do anyway in a situation like that.
But the property, especially if we've heard talk about using it for field trips, that property wouldn't be protected for students.
No, but we use other properties for field trips as well. And I will say that even a public park, when a school function is held there, like we play our baseball games a lot in public parks, soccer games, things like that, that becomes school property. And so rules and laws that apply to school functions apply in those spaces.
So potentially we could adapt an MOU with a nonprofit on the usability of to those small number of people that we don't want on school property.
Well, I imagine that when Rock Castle, I'm totally projecting here, but if Rock Castle hosts a large event for us every year, it's a wonderful event. I think they probably close off their property to other visitors, and it's just for our schools, and we have protections in place during those events.
Thank you. Mr. King?
Yeah, so a couple of things. The mitigation plan, the PRM boundary excludes from people being on that area, the 22 acres around the house. The only people, at least that would be given access would be the nonprofit. They're in control of that. But here's the other thing that I find just really baffling to me is we approved a medical clinic in an elementary school, and the public can walk in there any time of day, get medical treatment. Nobody, they're not getting a background check, and those are strangers. Those are just people, and that's an elementary school.
That's actually not true.
That's walking onto our property in a school. So I don't see why these same arguments were not being put forth when we approved that medical clinic. I mean, it just baffles me. So.
Well, I think, just as we move on to voting, people have a right to ask questions, whether you agree with it or not. I think there's many times people ask questions where it baffles our minds. So I would respect to say that, board members have the ability to express their opinions, and we can choose to vote yes or no. So let's go ahead and move to vote on this. Let's do all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, discussion or action regarding environmental mitigation credits for Liberty Creek campus. Motion to approve, Mr. Lancaster, second. Mr. King?
Yeah, so I was talking to you about this in the break. I feel like we need to do a procedural thing here because we did pull that off of the consent agenda from bids and purchases, but we did not pull it from the budget amendment section of the consent agenda, and that was 141 Cap Pro BA 223 BOE. So that was the budget amendment for the Army Corps of Engineer stream credits and the TDEC credits. I guess I'm going to make a motion to amend something previously adopted. And so my motion is to go back and amend the consent agenda to pull that off and put that with this agenda item. Unless you have another way of figuring this out. Because we already approved that, and that amount of money is already a different amount than what we have on our new business. So
correct me if I'm wrong, Trevor, but I'm going to take a stab at this. So if you did not approve this part, the budget amendment would then be null and void because there's no appropriation to go with that budget amendment. And so, with budget amendments, you sometimes approve money that is beyond what we actually spend. So it's just a threshold. So it's not necessary to remove that budget amendment because if you voted this down, we just remove it anyway. Right? Close?
Yeah, because it was pulled off the purchase. If it was not approved, then we would have no authority to perform this purchase. So
I got you.
The budget amendment and the purchase have to go together on an approval.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now
That was.
I've got a motion.
I was bringing in a comment just to say, hey, from a grant standpoint, as an accountant, you can't use funds if you don't have an expense.
All right. So, all right, we've got a motion and a second. Any other comments? Mr. King got his.
Yeah, I mean, I just have some questions about this. I mean, I asked for this to be pulled off, and so are we approving? We're approving for both of these. We're approving 2015 300. Is that correct?
It's 201,000 on one, 201,300 on the other.
Yeah. So the total amount is 215,300. Correct. Okay. I just want to make sure because the budget amendment was 268,900.
Right. They found a cheaper credit that we could purchase. So the threshold, as Mr. Johnson just mentioned, the threshold for the budget amendment was 268,000. We found credits that were cheaper for 258,000.
My other question is on the Clearwater Conservation invoice. They're invoicing us for 67 is the quantity. Are those the credits? Those are the credits? Okay. So what my question is all of the plan that we submitted and the Davy Group submitted to the Army Corps of Engineers, they were, that was, instead of 67 credits, it was actually 56
Yes.
credits. So how did we acquire 11 more credits?
TDEC is requiring us to have 11 credits. So the other 11 go to TDEC.
Well, we're paying, okay. So we're already doing a thing with the wetland credit, isn't that's TDEC, right? The .22 wetland credit?
You're now getting out of my depth, Mr. King. So when I spoke to our construction people about it this afternoon, me and Mr. Presnell also talked with one of the consultants that we're working with. How it was explained to me is that we have a certain amount of credits that have to go to the Corps of Engineers because that's what they're requiring, and then we have a certain amount of credits that have to go to TDEC. So that's the difference in the 11 and the others, and that's as far as I go.
Okay, I'm just, because I haven't seen anything of that requiring 11 extra credits in any of the documentation from the Davy Group, from the Army Corps of Engineers, and I've made phone calls, and to their knowledge, it's all been 56 credits. So how can we get that in writing? How can we get some kind of
It is.
accounting for that?
It's in the document. You see the TDEC project number, and then you've got the USACE project number. You've got two different project numbers here. Those are where the two different details are.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just wanting to know what those 11 extra credits are for, because no one has told me about those.
Well, I think Mr. Johnson answered the question, said the extra 11 were TDEC related.
Yeah, but but that was not included in any of the proposed planning. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna vote for this. I just would like to maybe see a breakdown of that later, if that's okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Go back. Next item on the agenda, let's scroll back down here, is discussion or action regarding policy 6.306, interference disruption of school activities. Director recommends approval of the policy, waive second reading, and apply with the recent change in state law. Motion to approve. Ms. Brennick, second. Mr. Lancaster, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is communications from the board, discussion of study session items. Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir. Mr. Lancaster gave us a wonderful calendar idea that we're finally going to talk about on the study session. We've got some other things that we're still kind of working out, and then we may have the swearing in. We may wait on the voting session. We're scheduling people for swearing in and all that. But we will be talking about Mr. Lancaster's calendar and probably capital projects.
And there's a copy of it here if anyone wants to look at it.
Yes.
So again, the ideas behind it is to try to identify what specific topics we'll be talking about throughout the school year. So if there's something on the item that you want to adjust or you have recommendations, please let us know. And we'll discuss that at the next study session. Yes.
On this calendar, we've got the approval for the architect for the district master plan. I know that we weren't able to do that for August. Is that going to move to September?
For the what? I'm sorry, I couldn't.
The approval of the architect for the district
Yes.
master plan.
Yeah.
In fairness, that calendar was created.
I'm just wanting to make sure it shows up. I'm making sure we don't lose it.
All right. Next item on the agenda then is, let's see, comments from board members. So, Mr. Lancaster.
Yeah, I know Mr. Evans has talked about this too, but I have gotten some questions on 4.3. Can we take a look at that in our study session, and maybe talk about how we're going to, from this day forward, to figure out when we have new athletics so we can communicate that better? I think that would be a good study session topic. Agreed. To talk about.
Mr. Evans?
I was just gonna back that up. I mean, not even just about lacrosse, but been a lot of questions about. There's been a lot of middle school baseball teams and some other teams with tryouts and everything. I just think again, we need some clarity from what we consider extracurricular activity and what is not. And I hate to get in the weeds of it, but the problem is it's a free for all right now. So I would like for us probably to discuss that, because I don't think it's going to go away. I only think it's going to get worse.
And I think to your point, that gets into sanction versus non-sanction, especially when you start getting to middle school and TMSAA. So, yeah, we'll add that to the agenda and have a discussion about that in a future meeting. All right, comments from board members. I'm going to start with Mr. Lacy.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm thankful that we were able to do this for the Latimer House, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it. And I'm excited that our test scores are improved and the students are learning more, and just that's what we all, ran for the school board for, is to help our kids learn more.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes, I was going back to the core values, and I was thinking about, and I don't know the day-to-day of what these teams had to go through, from admin to teachers to students to parents to transportation to all the departments, maintenance, but grit, resilience comes through when you all, have faced something that, change comes. You learn through change management. Sometimes you know it's coming, but sometimes it just hits you. And I think about with what these teams have been through. So just appreciate all the work and efforts from these teams school started a little bit late, but it started, and students are getting to school and doing well. And so I just appreciate that. Also, want to call out Ms. Hayes and congratulate her and thank her for her, someone talked about service earlier. I think Ms. Meadows did. And you definitely are the example of service as a school board member. And I just want to wish you the best and enjoyed the short season with you.
Ms. Stewart?
Yes, thank you for your mentorship, your friendship, your service. It's all been exceptional. Ms. Skinner's team, thank you. At the end of, I'm going to say July, mid-July, I rode around town, saw Dr. Becker out passing out, putting yard signs up that say AP Scholars. I had a lady riding with me that said, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "Really?" But I was proud to explain that to her, and I have a couple of those on my street individually, so I'm real proud to see those things going on. But thank you to the parents for the patience with the breach. We know that they've dealt with a lot too, so thank you to them and the students. So.
Ms. Brennan?
No, don't. Don't do that. You have been an inspiration to this county. The number of times that you've been instrumental on a vote that advances the mission of Sumner County Schools, that has benefited our county as a whole, that has grown people who now are contributing back to our schools and our community. The impact you have had is not something that anyone could quantify. I hope that the rest of us can live up to the example that you set, and that we will make you proud, because I know you're not done watching us. And so I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the service. Thank you for always being someone who stands up for right, and thank you for being someone who stands up for our kids and our teachers and our staff. I also wanted to brag a little bit on White House. We got back our AP Scholars results. We saw some of that today, but in particular, AP Capstone diplomas are the highest achievement in the nation for advanced placement programs. And to earn an AP Capstone diploma, you have to have a 3 or a higher in both AP Seminar and AP Research, and then have a 3 or higher on 4 additional AP exams. Only 3 Sumner County schools qualified any students for this award, and White House High School had 27 students receive AP Capstone. The next closest school had 6. So I'm so proud of Mr. Hilliard and Mr. Gilliland and the whole team at White House for what they're doing here. And you can bet those people will be here very soon for recognition, but I wanted to shout them out tonight because that's some pretty amazing news.
Mr. Hollis?
Similar to what everyone said, thank you to the academic team. It's very impressive what you're doing, and I love the foresight that you guys have and continue to evolve for the kids. Thank you to Ms. Hayes again for your service. You reflect back on your career. I know there's a lot that you've been involved with, and you left your mark here, and it's a good mark. And then the only other thing was I'm excited that we've almost got the Merrill Hyde tennis courts completed and the Gallatin track completed. So a lot of this stuff is coming to fruition, and it's good stuff going on. So thank you.
Mr. King?
No comment tonight.
Mr. Evans?
Couple quick things. It was a cool full circle moment, actually taking my daughter in for kindergarten. Because when I decided to run a couple years ago, the whole premise was I wanted to run represent my generation of parents. And it was cool at the Boohoo breakfast. You know, I was sitting with some of the other ones that are in my daughter's class and just talking with them. And one of them came up to me and was just like, "I remember you from Facebook." I was like, "Oh, that's good." I was like, "Hopefully a good thing," you know. But
Did you boo-hoo though?
yeah, no, I didn't then. What got me, and it's funny, my wife, you know, probably cry 3 times a year, and when I do, it's like a full body experience. And it was actually like, registration was fine, but we were watching an episode of Bluey, and I like lost it. And the whole time I was trying to, Liz was like laughing, and I have Emmy in my arms. I'm trying, because if Emmy saw, I want Emmy to see me crying. I want her to see a male and her dad like have emotion. Like I'm fine with that. But also, if she saw that, she would think something was wrong or that she did something wrong, and then all night she would just be like, "Did I hurt your feelings?" You know. But it was just funny. It hit me like that, and then I was good. The next day we took her to school, and all was well. So I'm excited for her. There is a student. We have a special needs student or inclusion student in her class. And, you know, I'm just really excited for like her to have. It's not just that experience, but you know, that is going to be a huge learning opportunity for her and her classmates. And I'm excited to see that from the other side. That being said, I know it's been a crazy couple weeks with delays, everything like that. And I know that we've had some losses too. You know, I played football at Hendersonville. I love HHS, and knew Coach Lake. I knew a lot of the guys on staff there. It was really tough. Again, it's really hard for males to tell and reach out to each other for help. And I said this on Facebook, and I'll say it again: you are loved, you are worthy. Please reach out for somebody. That's what we're here for. One thing, Miss Tammy, obviously thank you. It's kind of cool. I think I mentioned it before, but I was in chorus with one of her sons. I played football with one of her sons. Her oldest son was best friends with my best friend's older brother. So I've literally been around the Hayes family since I was in 6th grade. It's been cool to serve alongside you. Well, I've lived life with your kids, and I got to serve with you in this role. So I appreciate you and thank you. And last but not least, I know we got some football games this weekend, so hope to see some people out. You know, I'll be over at the beach game. Like I said, I'm excited to see our students compete. I know some things didn't get voted on. I still hope we find ways for our students to compete in lots of other sports, not just one or the other. I do think, like I said, I'm glad we're going to talk about it. So I appreciate y'all, and have a good week.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yeah, obviously, I think we had a good academic presentation. A lot of success there. I think some of the initiatives that we took or that we witnessed and that they talked about over the last 2 years have really paid off, and it's nice to see that that's actually working and benefiting not only our scores but our students. That's one. Obviously, I'll jump on the thanks Ms. Hayes bandwagon, even though I've already told you on Facebook, I'm just kidding. But I will miss you, and I've enjoyed, the last 4 years serving with you. And I can't imagine, ending term 1, about to start term 2, and the thought of 3 is a little, so I greatly respect just the time commitment and the headache that you've endured for that. So that's, you know, respect you for that. Outside of that, like Mr. Evans said, Friday nights football. Taking a sabbatical from refereeing this year, so I'm actually getting to go to games with my son and see my daughter and cheer at Hunter, and so it's been fun. I'm looking forward to trying to hit a bunch of different schools this year. Obviously, I'll be at beach game Friday night, and, you know, I know we have a lot of people that have moved here from other places, and I just always tell people, like, hey, if you've never gone to a football game in the South, you just don't know what you're missing. I know you have met other places, but it's just, I'm always amazed when I go to, you know, a home football game at any of our schools. Portland is one of my favorite places to watch a game. Granted, I'm getting yelled at usually at them because I'm on the field, but it's just a special place to watch a football game. And I know Gallatin is as well. And, I mean, all of our schools have unique things. You got the cheerleaders, you got the dance team, you got the band going, and so it's just a very unique community event. And my question is, you all always have a bet.
We'll get there.
Okay. Just making sure we're not losing sight of that bet.
We'll get there.
So that's a big one, you know. And other than that, you know, of course we talk about football, but the Sumner County Band exhibition, I can't ever say that word. I got that Mississippi education, they don't let me use words that start with E. Anyway, Sumner County Band exhibition is going to be next Saturday night, right next door, and you'll get an opportunity to go out at 5 o'clock and see every one of our high school bands participate. So that'll be something unique, and go out and support those kids as well, because Friday night would not be the same without the band, that's for sure. So that's all I got.
I forgot to mention the pep rally was awesome last week. I really hope Hendersonville can figure out a way to do one too, because I think the Hendersonville schools, you can figure out a way to do that. But it was super hot, but it was a lot of fun. I would have loved every second of that if we had something like that in high school. Oh my gosh, so super jealous. I was not going to be a part of it, but it was really cool. And Gallatin won this year.
Mr. Tucker.
I'd like to thank the team for a great presentation tonight. That was amazing, and I learned a lot, so I appreciate all the time and effort that y'all put into that. And gonna miss this sweet lady. Looking forward to having Scotty Bush here, but gonna miss her, so thank you.
Ms. Hayes, before you speak, I want to take a second to recognize you and your 12 years in service. It's been an honor to serve with you. You have been an inspiration to many throughout this community in this county. You've been an advocate for students and teachers throughout your entire service. There have been many nights where we've had to make tough votes, and I know how you feel about every vote that you take. It's personal to you. It's about always making sure that you feel like you're doing right for the students, even when sometimes people may disagree. And I think what we can all say is at the end of the day, you know, we just want to leave the world a little bit better place. And you have. And I appreciate that. And I'm honored to have been able to serve with you. So thank you for everything that you've done. I do have a plaque here to give you. I do feel really bad that during your last meeting, you will have to watch Hendersonville lose to the Gallatin Green Wave one final time as a board member. So I feel bad that that's going to happen. So just a little bit that Gallatin Green Wave is going to get a W this weekend. So I'll feel a little bad, but not a lot.
If Hendersonville wins, will you come back? Just to
Yes, I'm sure she will. I will have a yellow tie on, Ms. Hayes, in honor of you. But no, seriously. Yeah, 5 minutes.
With nothing but gloating.
I will vote to allow that.
Can I, a second.
Thank you.
These are tears of joy.
I would, before she speaks, I'd like to do, because
Thank you.
I'm probably gonna have what Mr.
I would like
Evans,
you to speak, but-
what Mr. Evans referred to as a full body moment, probably gonna happen here in a second as I try to talk through this, but,
That's a lot of years.
you know, Ms. Hayes, I remember, Tammy, 2015, the year that you started, 14-15, when you started in the school board, we had a 91.6% graduation rate. This year it's 97.6%. I think Anna Connor made a great point that the percentages mean one thing, but when you think of the number of kids that represents, it's magnificent. Programs in schools started while you were on the school board.
That's right.
Burris Elementary, Liberty Creek Elementary, Liberty Creek Middle, Liberty Creek High School, White House Intermediate. Both of the middle college programs, Patricia Brown Virtual Academy, Carolyn Smith Innovation Center. The investments, you know, I like to think about planting acorns, and you've planted so many that are going to bear fruit for decades and decades to come in Sumner County. 109 reward schools over your tenure. In 2016, that's the earliest time that I can find AP numbers currently for Sumner County. 2016, we had 330 total students that passed an AP exam. That was a 52.1% pass rate. This year we had 422 AP scholars with an 88% pass rate. And beyond, in that 2016 number, you basically had about 3 or 4 schools that were offering AP classes. Now it's across the board. You know, I love how out of Hendersonville, Mr. Cotter came to the 5 signs that are now everywhere in Sumner County. It's so cool to see those all around the county. Very much born out of your leadership. You know, if we go to the personal, this is where the full body stuff's going to start, Tammy. I'm not going to lie. When you declared your candidacy to run, I was an assistant principal. I had just won a primary to serve on the county commission. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. The votes we would make, the decisions we would get to do, you know.
No wonder I'm tired.
No doubt about it. Frankie was an instructional coach. Lisa, I don't think, was with us yet. Were you in 2014? You just started, okay. Yeah, but Katie and Lisa were not assistant directors, executive directors yet. Still wonderful leadership by all 3. Trevor was probably still in high school. We're not going to talk about Trevor. Yeah. You know, Jeremy was right here. Right here. Yeah, that's a different full body experience. We'll come back to that. But you know, I'm going to let them speak in just a minute. But I think that for me, you know, we've shared. I found a picture the other day from one of the campaign events. It was me, you, and Paul Decker. And I think no one's had a more profound influence on my life than Mr. Decker. And I think to the times that first year when I was principal, my dad passed away. You were at the funeral. You know, my mom passed away. You were there. So far beyond just what's expected of someone that's elected to an office. You poured into me and invested in me and saw in me sometimes what I didn't see myself. So, and I think I'm going to let them talk in just a second, but I want to say, you know, beyond just me, when I look at the leaders that we have, male and female, but especially the female leaders that we have, and the fact that they got to be connected to you and learn from you, and Jonathan. You know, there's just not a better couple I can think of in Sumner County to lead us. And I've got 1 or 2 more closing thoughts, but I'm gonna turn it over. Frankie, we'll start with you. I gave Frankie a little bit of a heads up. This was coming.
I gave them a heads up too, but we are going to miss you. And if I were going to name a female leader role model, you would be at the very top of my list. Your servant leadership is just, it speaks volumes. And what I appreciate most about you, Ms. Hayes, is you always come to us with from a place of curiosity and problem solving with positive and answer your constituents in that way. You collect all the information first, and I just value that so much to get the whole picture. So we're going to miss seeing you sitting up here every week. I love you dearly. Thank you for being you.
I was not prepared for this, but it's really easy to echo all the sentiments that everyone else has said. Something I think I would add is your very deliberate and thoughtful decision making. Your servant's heart, which I know has been mentioned several times, but it's just so clear that's what you lead with, which I appreciate so much. And you have just been such a beacon of support for everyone up here, and I just greatly appreciate that. Just love you so much, like we all do.
Miss Tammy, they stole mine a little bit, but I think, and not to speak to the rest of the board, but you do such a perfect job of both advocating for your constituents and our work at the same time. I mean, my work lies in a very tricky area, and like Frankie said, you come with questions and you ask hard questions because you're my board member, you know, and people have hard questions, and you come and say why, and then you listen and you support, or you say, but why not, or can it be different? And I appreciate that, because yes, I want you to challenge us and support the community, but I also want you to advocate for us and support us, and you always have. And I also, having, you know, sat here for 10 years now as well, have seen you handle difficult conversations, difficult decisions with respect for all sides, with grace and with conviction for what you believe and what is important and what matters, and I appreciate that, and I pray that we always have representation like that. Thank you.
So I wish Amanda Brown was here. I always say I have a hard time filling her high heels, filling in. But
Well, I could have done without that visual myself.
That's right. We appreciate your service, Miss Tammy.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to look at you very much during this. But, you know, you're not like, one, I wasn't prepared for this either. I definitely wasn't prepared for you leaving the school board, and I'm not really acknowledging it. I'm still gonna call you and check in with you every month and say, hey, school board meeting time, let's talk about it. You know, and unfortunately, I'm one of the people in the room or fortunately, I was one of the people in the room that was here your very first night here on the school board. And I don't know what that says about me, but here we are. And, you know, from the very moment you were here, you brought this positive energy and this spirit to us that we really missed and that we really needed. And, you know, we had been through some hard years on the school board at that point. And you came in and you were part of a fresh wave and part of a wave of you know, let's celebrate what we do as a school district. Let's celebrate who we are and who our people are. And, you know, you were one of the board members that I have admired greatly through your tenure. I wish and hope that one day I can have the grace and patience that you do with people. And I'm really grateful for your time here on the board and how you supported us, but I'm mostly grateful for your friendship with me personally in my life. And so thank you, Ms. Hayes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me and pouring into me like you did Dr. Langford, and we will miss you greatly. I got through that without crying. I feel good about that. So,
All right, everybody get your Kleenex. I looked back and I found Tammy's first mailer when she was running for school board.
I should have kept that stuff.
All right, it's on Facebook.
Send copies. Yeah, it's on my Facebook.
I remember two parents. I remember the faith that took the first time a teacher took my child's hand and I walked away. I feel still the joy of watching that child graduate what seems just moments later. Most importantly, I understand all the work required during the years between. You are your child's first and best teacher. You will forever be your child's best advocate. Please allow me with your vote to be your advocate in our schools. To our teachers, your work every day to improve the lives of our children and enrich our community. Or you work every day to improve the lives of our children and enrich our community. I know the job isn't easy, but my years in the classroom revealed to me its rewards. You know what works and what doesn't work. And sometimes you feel like no one will listen. That is why my door will always be open to you. I want to share both your successes and your challenges. I promise that even if we disagree, I will always respect you as the professional I know you are. Tammy Hennessy.
Golly, that's a blast from the past.
And I think
And I still really like it.
yeah, and so I want you to have a little bit of time to rest. I got something else for you to do for us. Announcement coming later.
For real?
Mhm. You're not getting off this easy. I mean, one, you got to come back next month and talk to Mr. Daniels, but
Yeah, I will.
Um,
I'll get to glow when we win.
but well, if you
When we win.
yeah, Miss Barnes will be wearing a White House blue jersey. That's another challenge. We'll do a little bit later.
Mr. Gregory will show up.
But Tammy, from the bottom of my heart, and I think for all of our hearts, thank you for the love that you've shown, for the care that you've given, for the leadership that you've displayed every day, and for the heart that's as big as all the kids in Sumner County. So thank you.
Wow. I mean, I'm actually with that. We are 9 minutes past. We need to vote.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really? I will keep my word. It could not have ended on a better night to have an academic presentation. When Dr. Miller said how the team will stop and reflect, oh my gosh, I just had this moment of like, God, Tammy, just stop and reflect. I almost started crying then. It's just you reading that whole, that's not even all the accomplishments and the great things that have happened in 12 years. Did I have moments of like, why am I doing this? This is just challenging. This is really hard. But I got the opportunity. I got the opportunity to serve with great people, this board and the boards in the past. The opportunity to work through issues and come to a resolution. We may have to agree to disagree on some things, but we worked toward a resolution. Some things took longer than others. This team, when COVID hit, unbelievable. The people on the board, our lives were just flipped upside down. You are, I don't know how many thousands of emails and phone calls. This team got together, and in a matter of that summer, I mean, it was just full on working. School opened in August. In the Southeast, if not across the nation, counties were calling us, how did you do this? We want to copy your pathway to reentry. That's just one of the things, how this team, you all are phenomenal. It makes our jobs easy, and supporting professionals like you all. We get to do this. We get to do this. It has been the greatest privilege and joy to serve this community. I've done it since I've lived here in different forms and fashion. And God's not done with me yet. Sounds like it. But yeah, I think there's a rest, and then there's the new chapter. So that chapter will be written. But I want to thank each of you. I want to thank each of you. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Definitely has some character builders. I think we can all agree. And just dealing with the outside world. You know, we get a lot of mischaracterization. We get a lot of stuff said. They don't even know you. But rise above it. Keep doing you. Keep doing the great work that this board does. and what's going on in this county. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. If you'll allow me, this is something that I have copied. I actually got it off, there's no author. I got it off of social media. But I have read this over and over, especially in the last year or so. And just leave you with this thought. Protect your peace. You see, the more at peace you become, the less you tolerate chaos. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And you stop showing up in places that disturb your calm. You start choosing silence over proving your point. Distance over forced connection. That's not arrogance. It's alignment. Your energy becomes sacred territory, and not everyone is meant to cross it. Protecting your peace isn't about shutting the world out. It's about keeping your inner world clear enough to hear your own soul. And as a believer in Jesus Christ, I'm listening for the Holy Spirit. Someone else can read that and take it their way. I am protecting the quiet to listen to Jesus. I would encourage all of us in the middle of life, which can sometimes be very chaotic, to protect that peace, to protect that calm. And I don't even have to explain why. It's not arrogance. It's I need to be alone with Jesus. I need to hear him. That gives me strength, perspective, wisdom, clarity. So that's at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, that's the way I start my day. That's who I am. So I hope that out of any service and any good things that have occurred, that I've been a part of, because I didn't do all that, I didn't do it by myself, that people see Jesus in me. So God bless you all. Love you. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.